Okay, welcome to our Sustainable Designers Support Group. And this is a bunch of designers that are willing to work inside sustainable or recycled or upcycled parameters as part of what they do. It's not exclusively who our brands are. I know we have people that are in different have really clear branding that's not all about recycling. So you don't have to be all about recycling to participate. We're here to support each other in every way we can. But the main thing we're doing right now is recording Zoom calls and challenging ourselves to show a design and come back 2 days later and present it. So we'll be presenting today, and we have an industry guest. This is David Bailey. For you folks that don't know, he's the founder and the CEO of Fashion District Northwest, which is an organization dedicated to educating and connecting the fashion community in the Pacific Northwest. So this is exactly the kind of thing that he wants to support. His company produces the Couture and Cars fashion show and the Fashion as Art show, which if you've been involved in the Northwest, you've probably heard of those. And he started his in the fashion industry as a photographer over 10 years ago. So he's been part of it for a long time. Professionally, he's an event producer, a fashion business consultant, and a photographer. So if you want any of his professional skills, that's what they are. All right. We're going to jump in on showing our work, and David's going to offer feedback along with the rest of us from his perspective.
Okay, so again, I'm Lauren, and a lot of you know me and a lot of you don't, but that's okay. We'll get to know each other. I'm super excited. I have a ton of ideas. I am a sketcher, so I tend to have way more ideas than knowledge on how to put them together or where to even start. This is one of 3 sketchbooks. Just to show a couple of pages. Can you guys see this okay? And then there's this one. So they really like this one. And I really like this one too. There's this one. And I'm hoping to get some feedback from you guys, as this was kind of a support group. Is that I have a lot of like unconventional materials. I see things that people are throwing away or in the lab that I'm like, you could probably use that for something else, and then I'll pick it up. So I have this like gutter guard stuff that I guess you would put in your gutters to like keep the leaves out of. And then people give me things because they're like, oh, you sew, here, have this. I'm like, okay, great, thanks. I don't know what this is, but I'll figure it out. So I have a big roll of this stuff, which I found out, I guess, is called horsehair.
Yes, it is. Okay.
I didn't know that. So,
and does somebody want to tell her what horsehair is used for?
They usually put it in something that they want something to
like a stiff or
stick out. Yeah. It gives a good structure underneath the garment.
Well, there must be like 10 yards of this.
And since you're into unconventional styling, I mean, I use horsehair to make a whole hat. I've used it to make clothing. So just go for it.
I have used horsehair to I would try to recreate a Jimmy Choo bow shoe. So to create those bows.
Oh, okay, cool. And then I have this huge roll of cork fabric, which I didn't even know was a thing.
Whoa.
There's like a lot of, so I'm like, oh, cork fabric, that's fun. I don't know what to do with that.
What is it made out of?
So it looks like cork.
Cork, okay.
And then on the other side, sorry, the lighting is so terrible.
Okay.
But it's actually.
How is it on the skin? Is it itchy on the skin, or do you? No.
I don't know if you can kind of see me angle this down a little.
You can make a skirt out of it.
Yeah, skirt. I was thinking you can make a fitted skirt out of it.
It could kind of wrap around, but it's kind of stiff too, you know.
Is it stretchy? Is it stretchable, or is it?
No, it does not stretch. It's not going anywhere.
Oh, okay.
Lauren, now that you're showing us some of the materials, can you show us the sketches again so we can kind of correlate the two?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm almost kind of feeling overwhelmed, while I was actually really grateful that you had this challenge, because my garage is full of stuff like this, and I'm like, I don't know how to even manipulate this, but I don't want to like get rid of it. Okay, so
When you sketch your sketches, do you kind of have a vision of materials?
sometimes I do, like sometimes I'll see like the horsehair and I'll be like, oh, that would be cool as a this or that, or like I was playing with the horsehair stuff and I just kind of made this little
Yeah.
bow
That's
thing.
cool. Yeah.
And this is, I guess, dividers that you would use for like office materials. And so I stitched it together and I was like, oh, that can be like
Oh, cool.
a thing or something, or like put it on a, I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love all the mesh-like stuff. I'm really inspired. I find of your materials, I really gravitate towards those meshy things and the corkscrew stuff, but I think that lends itself towards more architectural designs.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. Oh, and then I'm kind of even see what's down here. And here's another thing of stiff, meshy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what was that? You had like an evening dress that had a big skirt at the bottom and it,
Exactly what I was thinking as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While she was explaining that, I went
It's more of a gown.
in Google cork fabric dresses, and I found so many ideas.
oh
yeah.
my
Oh,
gosh.
wow.
Yeah, it drapes like leather, kind of. So it's
Yeah.
That's neat.
Very
Oh,
Wow,
cool.
neat.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Like I didn't even.
that gown that you had. That one. Let me see. No,
Yeah,
it
show
was
us
the
that one again.
Yeah,
It had
would
a skirt at the bottom, right?
Yes, it would almost
Mhm.
look like you had little mesh inlays in it. That one.
That's the one.
That one.
This one.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like
Mhm.
that might be a good starting point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
With the circle skirt bottom, she could even use that cork.
This dress has a zipper and everything.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that might be
Yeah,
a
stick
little easier for,
Here's another one.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
oh, that's
Wow.
interesting, the idea of cutting it. But I like working with, just so that you don't get overwhelmed by ideas, Lauren, starting with what you have and,
Yeah. No, it's what I try to say that you can make that.
But since she wanted to incorporate the onesie, she could use that for the bodice, so it's fitted, and she
Mhm.
wouldn't have to bother with a zipper.
oh,
Yeah.
that's true.
Oh yeah.
Do you like that color combination together,
Yeah.
Unique, the onesie with the horsehair, the black horsehair, or
See
the cork?
With the cork like this. There's so much of this.
Yeah.
It's almost.
Yeah.
It's almost like, look at this roll. Like I'm having a hard time even kind of.
I mean, I don't want to complicate things, but you could even dye that onesie.
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't think about that. That'd be cool. So I like the horsehair idea with the cork. I put it down here. Can you guys see this one?
Yeah.
Not that good.
I like, my thought is the cork for a gourd type skirt. And then the onesie as the bodice.
Yeah.
I'm from an environmental standpoint, I'm not as excited about dyeing the onesie. I feel like personally, I don't feel like the onesie and the cork are, I wouldn't put them together, but and in terms of dyeing that, it's probably the onesie is probably polyester, and that's pretty toxic dye. So I try to steer clear of that on the environmental side, even though it's recycling. There's so much yuck, and I mean, you can't even use the same utensils that you use in your kitchen when you use the polyester dyes.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
You cannot use a natural dye for it.
For polyester, not. You could use acrylic, but then it stiffens it.
What about tea? Do those like
I was
doing tea bags? Does that work?
Not on a polyester. Tea won't even make
Is
it.
it polyester? Did you check the label?
The label is worn off. That is how old this is. This Pikachu onesie has been through some things.
Does it feel like cotton?
It feels like You like the blankies that kids really like keep forever and they're always rubbing? That's what it feels like.
It is polyester then.
It's
Yeah.
probably,
It
or
is
acrylic. It might be acrylic.
Yeah.
An alternative might be just fabric paint. I don't know if that's too toxic for this challenge.
No, painting isn't toxic because it stays there on it like acrylic paint. Just it changes the nature of how things drape. I know this from
Oh.
having
100% polyester.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That much I can read.
Uh,
The rest of
yeah.
it's worn off.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I could make this into something, I could maybe make it smaller for my daughter who's 9. I'm not sure. That's a lot of,
well, I mean, do you feel like you would put the onesie and the cork together? Because if you do, you should. I
don't think they go together at all.
Okay, I don't either. So I don't want you to feel like you have to just because we're all looking at them at the same time.
No, I literally have, the amount of materials I have in here it's literally enough for all of us to do something individually.
Yeah.
So that's why I was really excited about this. I was like, yeah.
Let's help you narrow down instead of giving you more ideas. So folks, give her ideas on how to edit down her decisions here.
Can you make a bodice out of horsehair?
The cork.
You can, but you'll have to mold it. So you're gonna have to literally have your mannequin to the size you want and mold it to it.
And you might want to put a lining inside that because the
Yeah.
horsehair is a little rough
Pretty
against the skin.
transparent. Yeah.
But I think that
You
could
could
be
just
really
mold
cool. A horsehair
Yeah.
bodice with
Yeah.
the cork skirt could be gorgeous.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
A crop top, like a tube crop top.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's what I'm gonna play with the cork that almost got thrown away and the donated horsehair. I didn't take any pictures, I apologize, but I think most of you saw what I was working with. And I still had that huge roll of this cork fabric here, and a ton of the horsehair, which I didn't know what it was, and you guys informed me as to what it was. And I still have a ton of it left. So, and then with that, I'm a sketcher. So I showed a couple of sketches and this was the one that everybody liked. And that inspired this sketch here. Okay. And this is what it turned out to look like. Is that why she's waving? Sorry. Here.
Wow.
Okay, so again, I'm a self-taught. I've had no sewing lessons aside from my mom who makes quilts and crochets, which is totally different than clothes. I was playing with the cork fabric, and so Elena, remember I was telling you like the mistakes sometimes aren't mistakes. It's, the fabric just kind of telling you to do something else. Right. So I was playing with this stuff and I was trying to make the skirt and I'm like, okay, I can't just cut a big circle because it was like stiff and sticking straight out and it looked absolutely ridiculous. So I started cutting like these pizza wedges. I'm sure there's a technical sewing name. So I cut these like.
Can you take a minute and just show us the garment? We're not seeing all the way to the bottom of it. And I just want to see it before you. I just want to see it. So keep talking, so the camera will be on you, but show us the whole thing.
Sure. So here's my mom helping. So I made a top part. There's pins in it. There's a little flower. I was playing with the mesh. And here's the bottom part of the skirt. It has some more of the horsehair at the bottom. Wow. And then here's some panels that I made. I have a zipper. I didn't have time to put it in. This dress form is ridiculously small. She's like a size -2. So I have it like doubled over. I actually made it to fit me. So here's the back and here's the back of the top that's not done. And then, yeah. Oh,
That looks good.
and
It's
yeah,
so cute.
the bodice part. Yeah. So I just, when I was working with the fabric, it wasn't like cotton, you know, where you want it to lay down and it'll lay down, or if you want it to flop, it wouldn't do what I wanted it to do. It was doing something else. So I just let the cork fabric do what it wanted to do. And so when I cut the big circle into these wedges, it fell nicer. And I was like, oh, that looks so much better.
The pizza wedges on the skirt are called gores.
Gores. Okay, thank you. I just learned something new.
Gore, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I remember, Lauren, I also want to tell you about croquis. So because I use them in my sketching and I think you'd find them hugely beneficial. And so before we go today.
Okay. Yeah. So, and then when I was messing with the top, again, like it doesn't want to just like lay flat, you know, and form to the curves. So I just kind of like flipped it over. I'm sure there's a technical name. So I tucked this part in and then flipped it, made like a V like this.
A dart.
There you go.
A dart.
A dart. There's a technical name for that. So I was like, okay, well, it's not working. So let me do this. And then I made a dart and flipped it over and then just stitched that way. And then this was kind of rolling like this and kind of doing this little organic little twist. And I liked it, so I just left it.
How easy was it to sew on?
It actually wasn't that bad once I figured it out. So I should have taken a picture. I totally jacked this up big time last night. Let me tell you, there was like a wad of thread like this big. I was like, oh my God, I just broke my machine. What am I gonna do? I didn't break my machine. I got out the scissors. I got the thread out. Everything's fine. But so I had the cork fabric and then the horsehair, but I had the cork fabric with like the corky side going down through this part. Yeah, right. Someone's like, oh no. Yeah. So I'm just like stitching along. Everything's fine. You know, I'm watching Project Runway at the same time and everything is, you know, and I'm getting all through and I'm just like, yeah, you know, this is going to be lickety split. This is going to be awesome. And then I flipped it over and there was like wads of fabric, like all along the stitch line, like this big. And I actually ended up having to rethread my entire bobbin. I was like, oh no. And then I went to pull, you know how if you're taking out a seam, right? You can cut so far and then you can just kind of rip it.
Mhm.
You can't do that with horsehair, it falls apart. So yeah, I went to take it apart and I'm just like pulling at it and there's little remnants. See, I don't know if you can see what's left.
Oh
But-
my goodness.
Yeah, so I went to pull it apart and then like the horsehair starts to unravel and do this. I don't know if you guys can see.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, oh. So yeah, so I definitely learned the hard way, and that's why I was asking you about what needle you would use for your leather, because I was like, maybe that would have worked out better if I used a different needle.
Yeah, I want to use a leather needle, but then like with me, I have a couple professional sewing machines, so that's their job. The Juki, their job is to cut through that leather and stuff. But if you're using your standard sewing machine, you want to use a leather needle.
Yeah, mine is not fancy. My sewing machine is from Walmart. I've had it for 10 years now. I think it was on sale, $64.99. This is it. It is a brother, but you know, super basic. And she's been through some things. So
They
So
make
let's talk about-
upholstery needles as well. You might have to test it out.
They make what?
Upholstery needles. That's
Yeah, I'm using a denim needle on my machine that is just a stronger needle.
I didn't even know that was a thing. So I guess I'm just kind of lucky that I didn't actually snap my needle, but I ended up flipping it around so that the horsehair was on bottom and the cork was on top, so it fed easier. And I
Lauren,
didn't,
when you sew, does the fabric bring any residue or something up? Do you think like the cork is getting something out? Like I have had cases where there's this shimmery fabric and then when the needle goes up and down,
yeah,
glue that's been in that fabric and it comes out and it messes up the whole thing?
I think there probably is, now that you're mentioning it and I'm looking closer. I probably do need to like take the foot off and dust it out a little bit, because it looks like there is like a little bit.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel sticky. It just,
Okay.
you know, it's like little,
Just the powdery kind.
yeah,
Like, oh, okay.
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your design, Lauren,
That would be
and
awesome.
what you think looks really, what you really like about it, what, if anything, you would change, and where you, who you see wearing it where.
If it were up to me, I would wear it to work, but I can't do that. um, I'm not really sure. I had fun with this just because I had never worked with this before. I have no idea where it would be worn, who would wear it.
Have you put it on? Did you see what it was like?
I wrapped the cork skirt around me and it wasn't too bad, but it's one of those looks where like it's not super flexible. It's not rough, but I would call it like your outfit that you're going to go out and probably be standing most of the time, or maybe there's a bar stool you can kind of lean on a little bit, because even though you can sit down in it, it's still kind of stiff, you know?
Yeah.
So
I have some trash fashion pieces, which I consider just runway pieces. And I feel like, to me, that's a runway or an editorial piece rather than a for the market piece. I do think that those pieces have an important role in our business strategy in terms of being newsworthy and attracting attention and stuff like that. I love what you've made. I totally want to take photos of you in it. So that's just on my wish list. Everybody's showing me stuff and I'm like, oh, I want to shoot that. Are you having that problem, David?
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I think the garment looks amazing. I think what we talk about is, and I think Stacey's talking about, is a showpiece versus a practical piece. Like the concept there, you know, my guess is it would be great for like a gala. Like you said, you'd like to be able to sit down and have flexibility in it. You know, it may be something that you ultimately look and go, the top half is something that I'm going to keep in the cork because it doesn't need to be as flexible, but the bottom half, maybe I'll layer it so that I can, you know, have a flexible fabric underneath there. You know, realistically speaking, like you're saying, this would be something you'd put on a fashion show type of thing, or if you're not going to sit down, would work great. But I mean, you know, we want to design for the concepts of like a showpiece, but then also want to have the practicality of a everyday wear, you know, in a situation. Okay, where can you wear this? It's not necessarily mother of the bride type of thing, but it's a, hey, if you're going to go to a fashion show, you're going to go to a gala, you're going to go to some fancy dinner, this would be something that you'd want to wear.
yeah, that's cool. I didn't think about that. So, I mean, there's so much of this left. It's not even funny. There's so much of this. So I don't know. I guess I could make a ready to wear version of it, or just the top half, you know, going with like, you know, that super cool leather jacket, you know, or something like that.
Yeah, I'm hoping for like a little mini collection of cork things that are all different and not ready to wear version of any of this. I'd like to have you do like a little mini collection that's all runway ready.
A 3 or 4 piece collection, and it would be great. And how do you change it and have variations of it? I think would be what you'd want to have. And you know, ultimately, what you want to find is potentially is another fabric that, you know, how do you incorporate a different fabric for, you know, consumers, because there's probably a limited amount of cork fabric that you have. But I think from a collection side of things, it would be really cool to see that get finished and then have 3 or 4 pieces that are similar but different, you know. And I think you have the geometric shapes that you're going off, especially with the top. I think it would be really cool to see what you could make out of that.
Okay, so Zoom is, I'm sorry to cut in here. Zoom is telling me that we have 10 minutes again before we have to do the changeover. And I don't want to cut Lauren short, but I just do want to keep an eye on that. Okay, so can we give her feedback on her work?
I was just gonna say that the other thing too with the top, the top is actually made with the scraps from cutting out the skirt. Would you say those were gourds?
Gourds.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was trying to, again, thinking with the sustainability thing, even though the cork was like donated and somebody was going to throw it out, I still didn't want to create more waste. I was trying to like reuse the waste. So that was kind of the other reason why the top just kind of organically came to be what it is. So I used the scraps from cutting out the gourds to make the top too.
That's cool.
Okay, good suggestion from David in the chat window. So just let's take Lauren through to the end of this, or as far as it's natural, and then we'll take our break rather than trying to rush her. Thanks, David. And anybody that ever feels like they have a suggestion for how to move the meeting along, you can use the chat window. David and I have been kind of in there.
So I have a zipper question. If you guys know, so I'm not sure if you can tell how the cork is behaving. I don't think like an invisible zipper would work. I think it's going to be too light. It'll be one of those times when you're trying to get the zipper up and you end up breaking it. Do you guys have any suggestions for that? Should I use one of those industrial, duffel bag zippers, or
Like this
You
puffy
should
thing,
use this.
yeah?
This type of zipper.
top stitch it in, or
Yeah.
under stitch.
And I'll put it on top of it. I will not put it under, but it's outside.
I would chime in with, if you don't like the look of an exposed zipper, if you don't feel like that's part of your gown, to explore maybe a Velcro kind of option. When I did my big paper skirt that weighed just a ton, I used a big button on a loop underneath it all, and it attached underneath where you couldn't even see it, and that was sturdy, and it held it all in place.
That too, yeah.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. I'm really excited. I should probably just stick. I really appreciate these challenges. I just want to mention that because it's really made it so that I'm focused on the one challenge, the one materials. Because as I'm sitting here now, I'm like, what is this? What is this? All these other things that like people have given me, just not knowing what the technical names are, like the horsehair and the boards and the, darts and stuff. I'm like, yeah, you just make a V and then you flip the thing like this, and then there's a technical name for that. So I just want to say I kind of appreciate it. And I came across this, which I'm not sure what this is either.
Boning.
Boning. Okay. Right.
You'd use it down the gores of a bodice.
Okay.
Or in collars that stand for costume or something.
My brain had a totally different direction with it, but okay.
For mine, I did a quick sketch, but it really isn't helpful because this was started. I hate patterns. I am absolutely awful at current patterns. Like I get them and I don't know if they're trying to confuse me or I'm just really talented at getting confused, but I can pick up something from the 1700s or 1800s and go, okay, I get it. So there's something wrong for this era in my brain, but I can look at something and make it. So I started making this, got totally frustrated. It was supposed to be my mock-up, felt like it was ugly and boring. And I don't wear white. So it was, it was just meant to be my mock-up, right? So it was supposed to be a wrap. And even for a wrap, I find it horribly boring. But so anyway, so it was supposed to do this. And my dress dummy does not have much bust. This would not fit me. So anyway, I do way better fitting it too when I do it myself. So anyway, I thought I would paint it because I have fabric paints and make it more interesting. I also have dye, but and I'm wondering if I need to do a really light dye just to set it a different color and then do the painting over it, like maybe along the base.
What kind of fabric is it?
It's cotton. So because I had gotten to, all of these seams are done, the front's done. The back, again, I really felt was boring, so I left it open. So
cool.
when
How
it's
late-
cotton,
How long can you show us how long it is?
let's see, I can lift her.
Oh yeah,
So,
there we go.
Okay, so right now it's open and there's these seams and I think I want to bring them down to the point where it tucks in at my back and then flares, because this actually ruffles when I wear it more, like it kind of has that, and leave the V's open. I haven't decided if I want to put fabric there for fun, like something contrasting, because I have a lot of fabric. Yeah, so I'm definitely open for it. I don't like the neckline either. I mean, it's fine as far as sitting, but I'm thinking of painting a design that comes to a V or something to give it something that feels like it has a look.
Set it back down.
Yeah.
Oh,
See
yeah.
this? It's basically straight, which is a little bit strange to me.
Uh-huh.
But nonetheless, it doesn't, I think it doesn't stand out badly. I just find it boring. So I thought if I did some sort of design or something that came down to where this tucks to and then flares, it might work and be more interesting, you know, and then it might help just having a layer. So that's kind of, let's try not to go too crazy because I just came from a wedding of my son that was kind of took me out. So I'm exhausted. I'm in quarantine, so I figure I should be doing something. So
I like the idea. I like the slits in the back, but I like the idea of a gusset of a different color that kind of coordinates with your dye or your embroidery on the
like a
slits
separate
in the back.
fabric.
If it's the same weight or lighter, I would try to make them kind of flow. I wouldn't make it stiff or heavy.
Right, because it would stand out differently. Okay.
Yeah, I think if you do a gusset matching the weight of the fabric, it seems like that would make it feel more unified. Otherwise, it'll feel a little stuck on there, you know. But I do like that idea. I'm just going to jump in, and I'm going to say that I think the simplicity is really good. Like you're in a position where you're what you're trying to do between now and Friday seems totally realistic, you know, which is to modify something that you've already sort of put in place. And I like the idea of painting on the white. So I think that that's exciting. I think also maybe taking it off white, you could do that. I don't feel like that's 100% necessary. If it's like a guest at a wedding kind of an outfit, then I feel like the white is a nice foundation, you know, rather than like if you're taking it to a different color, where is it more of just a summer shirt, or where do you see it being worn?
Well, I have some fun linen pants that wrap and ruffle on each leg, and they really flow. They're kind of a dancey feel. And I feel like something like this just set as like a vest with whatever tank top gives me a little more coverage if I want, you know, on lines, and just a little bit interesting without being too warm. So it's kind of like, well, it gives me just a layer that can kind of go a lot of directions. Now for the paints I actually got, and I hadn't even had the courage to open them, but they're all autumn tones, like these earthy autumn tones. So that was the other part with the white. It can be kind of jarring with that.
I would, just in terms of painting on fabric, oh, we're gonna have to friggin' reset in another 10 minutes. In terms of painting on fabric, my experience is that they make fabric paints, but any acrylic paint is going to do just about the same thing. And acrylic paints, you just need to set them with a hot iron for like 3 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So I don't
go either way.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel limited by your autumn colors because you got something that's fabric paint. I think that's just marketing, but I do know that that acrylics work on things, and any paint is going to stiffen your fabric where you use it. But if you're using it not over the whole thing, but just for the design elements, I don't think that is a huge issue.
Right, and these are like jacquard dyes for, you know, paints for fabric. So I don't think they're supposed to stiffen it much. So I figured I could kind of counterbalance. I haven't tried it.
So you have some scraps you can test it out on?
Yeah, I totally do. That's a good idea.
I was going to say, if you do gussets in the back, they don't have to be contrasting either. It might look pretty to just do them in the same base fabric.
With my sense of humor, I'm half tempted to paint something that pokes out at people or like a face.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think that if you have a sense of humor and that's going to be part of your brand, to bring that out is a good idea. Because I mean, if your brand is minimalism, like you're saying, you think this is boring, but if your brand is minimalism, it's good. But if you have if you're thinking about like what makes your heart sing most frequently and it's a sense of humor, then I think it's important to incorporate it.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, I'm Elena Haas, and my background lies mainly in theater and filmmaking. I started with costuming, a lot of historic stuff. I really consider myself more of an experimenter. I don't even know if I consider myself a sewer. I just tend to see something I want and make it. But it's been a long time. It was a huge leap of faith to come here because it's been forever. So I grabbed out this piece that I had worked on and just kind of got angry at and stopped. And the reason why I went first is because I thought, I think I'm dealing with something probably all of you guys have experienced, and maybe you can offer feedback and I shouldn't take long. So I got completely stuck. I just froze. I looked at it and I had some other things going on, you know, that were weighty. So that may be part of it. But I pulled it out. I pulled out the paints like I intended to do. I grabbed out fabrics, and then I found myself doing exactly what you guys were, I think wisely, I've experienced this before about changing the weights of fabrics, you know, but I tended to just want contrast. So it's behind me. You can see like I loved this fabric here. This is, it's still, like I actually dismantled it by trying it on. It made it worse. So I could have just stitched it, but I didn't like it. So I was like, what's the point of that? So this piece I really love, but it's heavy. It's upholstery weight. So I debated on doing something along the collar, you know, and doing strips, but it's also long, you know, and it's meant to be a wrap, but it's really boring as a wrap. And then I thought about doing like an obi belt because that was the original plan. And I just, honestly, I just froze. So I'm sure you guys have probably, or at least some of you have experienced this. So I thought, really, that's where my just complete implosion happened. So I thought maybe you guys can offer advice. We'll just start there. So yeah.
Super
But-
cool. Well, go ahead, David. You should.
I
jump
think one
in.
of the
You're
things
the
that
guest.
I would go with is that you've got your foundation, but you know, even though in some regards putting limitations on ourselves of like, hey, this is what the challenge is, you know, I don't think Stacy would have a huge issue if you kind of shifted a little bit at times. You know, with the two different weights of the materials, I wonder if you have a, you know, with us being in the Northwest, layering something, you know, not even putting it together as one piece, but putting it as multiple layers. This is what the outfit looks like as it start to finish. If the weight of the materials, what you liked, and it was so much heavier than the underneath fabric, then what about having your top layer and then a second layer being the heavier, thicker, you know, with so much of our weather being, you know, starting at 40 degrees in the morning to being 75 degrees in the afternoon, and you know, going from being outside where it's sunny and then into an office building where they've got the AC going on and cranked on, like I think part of trying to conform to what the challenge is may have been what your sticking point was when if you started thinking, okay, how could I make an outfit that would work, you know, on a grand scale, as opposed to like, I want to make this round peg square hole mentality of going, this has got to work this way, instead of shifting gears and going, okay, this may have been what I'm started with, but this is what I'm ending with.
Yeah, I definitely think I had a mental process that pigeonholed myself, you know, more than on anyone else. I think I narrowed my own, you know, something. Yeah, that helps. Thank you.
I
Yes.
find I want to say a couple things to you. First of all, when you're sitting here with that behind you and those different fabric swatches sort of laying on top of your garment, I was sitting here thinking, oh my God, she did some really interesting stuff. That's so super cool.
Yeah, that's what even my thought was like, oh my God. Look at the
so I think that you're on to something in terms of the fabrics that you want to put together. And I think the advice about the different weights is that I could give a little of my experience around that. I once tried to put something very lightweight on the top, and then I put a heavyweight skirt on the bottom, and it just made a lot of puckering because the lightweight was holding up this heavy. Where you have your heavier pieces draping on top, they would be holding up the light. It might work really effectively.
It'd be opposite.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I think that our suggestions made you feel limited. The other observation, first of all, I want to say that you have tremendous courage. You're here with very experienced designers, and you and me, I think we have some of the least experience, and so you're in an environment that would intimidate and cause the designer's version of writer's block,
right?
Because you're trying to do something that you're seeing, you're trying to fit into this norm that's totally different than where you're at. So I would say take advantage of your inexperience by doing things that don't work, you know, fail, experiment and fail, plan to fail. don't worry about it.
Okay.
Use less time on it and make a bigger mess out of it, you know, and just like pat yourself on the back for that.
Okay.
Well, I'm a sustainable fashion design. My quote is timeless and unique eco fashion design. Custom made with good tailoring and affordable for everyone. And this is what I use. You can see right here is a curtain, and here I have a video of the curtain. So you can see I'll hang it on my shower. And see, it's a shower curtain that I made. And the material in here, you have how much it really cost me to make it. This is the bottom part of the of the shower curtain, and I got the tool and I put 2 different types of lining because it's supposed to be a wedding gown. See, I kind of drape it to have an idea how it's gonna look, and down you'll see that I made the patterns myself, and then I cut it. It's a pantsuit, and this is the final, and has a double purpose. So you can wear it for your wedding. It has a bare back with a bow and a tulle skirt that is detachable. Or if you don't wanna, if you wanna wear after your wedding, you take the, you know, the detachable skirt and wear it as a pants. See here, I have a little video. Here's the wedding dress I made. Well, it's not a dress. With bare back, as you can see, with a skirt, a tulle skirt on top. You can untie. You can untie and have it as a pantsuit.
I love that.
For the reception, right?
Yeah.
Love it.
And you can use it anytime you want, adding a belt. And then in 2016, while I was at the Art Institute of Seattle, they invited us to participate in a designer challenge. So we went to the downtown Goodwill, where they have all the bins where they sell stuff by the pound. And they gave us 15 minutes to go through the bins and then create something. So I got a pillowcase and a bed skirt, and that's what I have the pictures there. And then I made that outfit, and mine won that day. I had a student who modeled for me, and I made the headpiece out of a placemat and some branches and stuff that I found in the Goodwill bin.
Wow.
And I just grab whatever, and then I let it on the table and see what can I do. And that's me. Thank you.
Wow.
That's fabulous. So many.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, so many cool things to say about that one. So I loved the concept. I mean, personally, just think that's brilliant that almost everybody after their wedding wants a more casual feel for their reception, right?
Yeah,
So,
and be able to dance and all that, you know.
Yeah. So I feel like conceptually it's brilliant. Also, like the placement of where the designs were on the chest with the centered embroidery, and then the 2 pieces on the either side was really, really superbly well done. you know,
Thank
so
you.
total genius. And also your presentation, doing like a PowerPoint to show it to us with the little video showing the beginning materials, like your storytelling around what you've done is spectacular. And I think that's one thing as we're doing these challenges, I think we're going to get better and better at that. And you've set the bar high for us now, so we have something to kind of work towards. No,
No.
that's great. That's what we want.
Is that wedding outfit concept new for you?
This is the first time I've done any wedding stuff. Yes.
Wow. Yeah, I love it. I have a daughter that's obsessed with jumpsuits, and in the next few years, she's getting married, and I can't wait to show her. She would.
Yeah,
be all over that.
my daughter is getting married next year, but she don't want that. I mean, she doesn't want pantsuit. She wanted a dress.
Yeah.
So I decided that with this challenge, give me the opportunity to make what I wanted to do.
Yeah. I love
wanted
it.
to do that. And I did it. And I worked from Friday until Monday. Friday I start, and I'm a person that I drag my feet.
Yeah.
I even dream how I'm gonna put stuff on, you know, and then once start, I don't want to stop. I just go.
Wow.
That's super cool.
I'm gonna do like a line with a bridal party, the mother of the bride, thinking about my daughter's wedding, you know. So I
Great.
have some other ones. I don't know if by Friday I will have something new, but for next time, that's what I'm gonna do out of curtains.
Yeah,
Or
why don't you do it backwards and show us your sketches or your plan or your fabrics next time, and then we'll see
I
a
can
month
show you
later
on
what you've done.
Friday. Yeah, I'll show you Friday my sketch and my plan.
You'll just be on a different schedule than the rest of us, but I think it's awesome.
Well, this is what I done, and this was a part of a material of a wedding. Well, it's a second wedding dress from a customer, and she left it to me, so I didn't know what to do, and I thought that this will go good with this, since it has like this kind of same.
Can you point the computer
color.
just a little more towards the mannequin? Oh, that's much better. Thank you. And maybe tilt it down a tad. Oh yeah, and bring that in. Great. Excellent.
Yeah. This is my first time doing this, so it's kind of hard. Let me just fix here my sewing machine. Yeah. Now I think you guys can see it better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So like I said, this was a curtain from a living room, and it had those big round metal things that I cut it out, and I don't know where I put it because I wanted to use those ring things to slash the sash on it, but I couldn't find it. So maybe next time I'll find it and I'll show you how it will work. Well, it was a bit of a challenge to do it so fast. And all my stuff is all lined, and I didn't know if I should put a sash that is darker. Whoops. Will look better than that one. Or just like it was. What do you guys?
I like the tone on tone for sophistication.
Me
This
too.
or without?
With it. Add it. Yeah, I like it with the two. Yeah.
With it brings it up, right?
Yeah. I agree with Anne. Definitely add some.
This will be the shiny part. Or should I do the dark side?
Is that the same fabric as the skirt overlay?
No. There's another piece that I found.
Yeah.
This is charmeuse. This is silk dupioni.
Yeah.
And this is polyester, whatever they do the curtain fabrics. And it has, I don't know if you can see it. It has, this is like corduroy.
Wow.
And this is like a silk, kind of like this one, but it's not the peony, but it looks like. Yeah. It's all like that.
Is it possible to twirl it around so we can see what the contrast belt and overlay looks like on the back?
Yes, well, let me take this off so I can wrap the way that I want to show. The See, I wanted to do like since my daughter's getting married, I wanted to do like a bride stuff, bridal party.
I love your idea of doing a little bridal mini collection. I think that's a lot of fun.
Okay. This right there. And in the back, it's like this.
Yep. Is that a center back zipper then?
Huh?
Center back zipper?
Yeah, this is the zipper of the dress. Let me undo it so you'll see what the dress is like. Because this is just on top. But if you don't want this, you can wear it with a sash. That it really looks really nice. See, has a invisible zipper. It has pockets on both sides.
Oh, I love pockets.
Yeah, because nowadays with you know, you need to have your phone and your social media going on. So yeah, I think even without the skirt and just with this sash will look really pretty.
I do too. I wondered, so the up on the kind of it's not a flower, but it's up in the corner of the dress.
Yeah, this is a flower.
I wonder about darkening that up to match the color of the sash.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. The same color as this.
Yeah, something like that. Or bring in some sparkle to it. Find some way to make that pop a little bit, and then also tie into the sash.
So I mean, to me, I always like to do options on a dress.
Mm-hmm.
You can wear with or without, so you'll have like two different outfits in one.
Mm-hmm.
As well as I did last time. I did the wedding pantsuit with a tulle skirt. So you can wear the same pants somewhere else with another belt that is not a wedding. So in this one, you can wear with a skirt or without. Or what
I really
do you
like it, Maria.
avoid the skirt and leave like it is?
Well, I
Can
think what
say
you're
it again?
saying.
Sorry.
I would think having the ability to transform it. I don't see any reason not to include the other part, since it can be taken off and not. But I think my favorite version would be the current way that you have it right here.
This one.
Yeah.
This
yes, last night after I took the thing out and then I put the sash on, I go, oh, I like it like that. But okay, I'm gonna show them and see whether.
I have a question. So this is more mother of the bride type of piece, or
yeah.
So what would price point be for you if you were selling this?
I will say $300.
And it's also
because I have no clue how much she paid for the fabric, and it's just a gifted. And it happens that I started it yesterday, around noon, and I finished the dress last night, but the, you know, the the skirt or this was the last thing that I didn't know. I mean, I know I can do a dress in a day. I have to tell you a story. I had a line that I took on my spring line of 2020. I had it all done, and this girl that was working with me, she said, "Oh no, all that it's not good, and this and that." And she was supposed to be my creative director and whatnot, and I'm like, "What do you mean it's not good?" And she said, "Yeah, and we have a week to get the photo shoot in New York." So then I go, what can I do? In a week, I done it. So I could work. I had 11 outfits in a week.
Wow.
That's crazy
Nice.
fast.
So yeah, it was, yeah. So I know I can do fast, but you know, I'd rather not work as against the clock.
Yeah. Well, let's, in our little support group, let's work on making a reasonable time frame for what it is you plan to do. So rather than you running out of time, let's try and hone in when you're in the design phase, what you can do in 2 days realistically. Okay?
Can I say something real quick for Maria and for Stacy? Both of you said, "Oh, we've got the materials. We didn't have to charge for the materials." I would almost say, don't plan it that way. That should be an extra profit margin that you're able to come up away with. If you saved yourself $50 on the materials, great. But I would always factor that in of what would it have cost if you were to pay for.
Oh,
for
I
somebody to
wasn't
buy it.
trying to imply that because it was silk, it should.
No,
I was saying, oh my God, that's very high quality material. You have to factor that in.
I'm just saying, as Stacy was saying, how do you price it? And it goes, well, I've had the jacket, so it didn't cost me anything. I would always say, what would the jacket have cost? Like, because then you drop down your price for this one item because you didn't have to pay for the materials. Whereas I think you want to develop your customer base as if you had to pay for it, if that makes sense. Yeah. That should be an extra savings that you get because you either had it, someone donated or found it, or just happened to be something that you had in the closet. I would just always go with the, err on the side of caution and say, hey, charge them for that, even if you didn't have to pay for it.
I will have to see how much the silk di peony cost. Because the other one, the sash is charmeuse that is about between $15 and $20 a yard.
I think it's even more than that. I mean, I don't know. I guess here in Seattle, things might be a little more expensive than where you are.
I just,
when you
said $300, I immediately thought that's too low. But that's
exactly.
Yeah. But this may be out of my jurisdiction on this meeting, but if I was a mother of the bride, I would love to try to wear your dress with the thing, the sash around the waist as a cape to hide my arms.
Yeah.
I would love to see your dress with try to do the cape around the neck. I don't know. Maybe that's not your style, but
yeah, no. Yeah, even I thought that I would have put it not like a cape, but you know how they do those that they are so on the side over here and they're see-through.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what they call it. It's not a kimono, but it's just open,
Yeah.
So you kind of
you just get a hint.
Yeah, and you can show your dress and stuff, and you can make it like a little jacket or crop so you can hide your arms. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I think that's an important age consideration. And I do want our conversations to pay attention to who the client would be, who would be wearing this and where would they be wearing it. So I think that was excellent input, Sherry, actually.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people telling me that they don't find, nice dresses for the mother of the bride. They always look the same. So I decided to, do something different. And the size of this dress is size 10. So definitely not a size 4. or zero.
I agree. For the wedding I was just at for my son, I spent years, and I was kind of defiant about even buying something. So I was like, I know I can make something, but I didn't break through to do it. I even had the fabrics, I had the design, you know, and I was like, but I, you know, like it drove me nuts. And the cost does not seem relative to, like you're saying, they're all the same. And then, you know, it doesn't, even if it's really poor quality, it seems to be priced the same as the other.
You buy it and it doesn't fit right. So
Right.
see, what I want to do and what my business is made to order.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't want to be like part of the masses. I want my client to feel special and feel attention, and she's gonna look beautiful the way that she wanted to look. You know, that's what I do. I have a, I'm in a website that not just a label, and I have some of my pieces there, and they're in, and that's a website that you can do made to order.
Okay. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to show you my sketches for 3 options. I'm trying to decide what to do with, they're exclusive of each other because some of the designs use the same fabric. Well, some don't. Okay, so this one, ooh, now Stacy learns how to show her sketches. So this one I'm using a silk dress and a cotton scarf, both of which will need a lining fabric. And there's a keyhole detail here to give some shaping at the waist and some room for the breast. And let me just show you the fabric options real quick. So I picked these 2 fabrics because they're good against the skin. I'm thinking ahead to summer. So this is a totally diaphanous. It has a few tears in it, so it's no longer good. But the part along here that was the neckline is in the drawing would go along the sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this scarf, again, it's lightweight. I'll have to find something to line it with if I do this one. I would make the skirt with, it has some threads that were used for gathering in its original design. And I would use those as guides and put a little bit of beading along it. So it has a design element to it, but it's just basically a long straight skirt with a side slit to make it easy to move in. It's very much a summer outfit. So it's option 1. We'll call that 1, just so it's not confused. My second option is a man-made material rework. Hold on. So here's my sketch first. Is it's just the shirt in this one. I've just drawn a black skirt with it because I have a half slip that I could attach it. But in this one, I'm thinking of taking a dress that's made out of this fabric and taking the skirt part of the dress and making a raglan sleeve with it at a cropped length, like about, I don't know if I've drawn it very well, but about an inch below the belly button. So not down over the hips. I feel like that's a very dated look, and everything is cropped now. So this is the dress. I feel like this print is just way too big and bold to have on the skirt. And it has a couple stains that need to be worked around. So I would replace the sleeves with the skirt for sleeves. And I would get rid of this collar and put a stretch denim, or no, not, that's a different design. Ignore the stretch denim thing. I would put a black satin collar, a stretch black satin around the top, and I would finish the hemline with a stretched hem so that it's kind of curly at the bottom to match what's going on in the sleeve hem and in the dress hem. So that's design 2, is a top. Okay. Option 3 is, I guess I'm doing summer clothes this week, is a little coveralls. And it's just very simple in the back, probably a zipper here. So one of my questions on this is what kind of closure, but I think a little invisible zipper on the back. And it's made out of, so this is a polyester, which is not as nice against the skin, but it's a very workable fabric. It's a very bright print. It's from a pleated skirt. The original garment has a pleated skirt. I kind of ruined it trying to rework it once before, and was never happy with this and really didn't wear it. So, and I've drawn it in my sketch, I've drawn it over just a reworked t-shirt where I take a regular green t-shirt and use some green tulle that has some stretch to it to replace the cuffs and neckline and make like a little harness shape on the front. Oh, and there's the harness on the back. So it's green tulle over green. Let me just show you. So I feel like one thing that makes t-shirts look cheap is just, you know, they're completely normal finishes, you know. And so this is the tulle I have, and it's the same, pretty much the same color. So it's a subtle design element. Okay. So that's option number 3, is this much more ambitious overalls and t-shirt. And probably I would get, I try and get them all done and I get one done or the other. Okay. So just to review again. So you guys, what I want to know from you is which one you feel is most likely to be something other people would be interested in wearing. Again, 1, 2, or, whoops. I really can't see upside down. 3, right? And also input on what you think is realistic to do in the time frame. I think when I look at option 3, I feel like, wow, maybe I could get the overalls done, or maybe I could get the shirt done. Okay, so first of all, I'd love to hear from each of you which one you like best.
I almost like the idea of the t-shirt too as a standalone item, because I think that is a huge void of boring plain t-shirts that could be upcycled in another way. And I also like the idea of the printed overalls, because that's kind of a niche that's not, I mean, you can't find those.
Yeah, I agree. And it looks comfortable and fun, you know. And now the summer, like she says, summer's coming. So yeah, people will like that. We all look for comfortableness.
I really like the top with the sleeves, but I have to say, if I was going to go into the store right now, I have a 21-year-old daughter. I think that the jumpsuit, the overalls is really a hot item. So
great.
I would put 2 as number 2.
Okay, so the top would be a second most likely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the top. I like the floral print in the sleeves.
Okay, so you liked this one best.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Candace, did you have a preference?
I really liked the overalls and the t-shirt.
Okay.
I think, and I'm not sure if you would be, you know, looking at just selling online, but t-shirts are something that are really familiar to people. And since it stretches, they might be more likely to make a purchase if it doesn't have to be more fitted, or like, it's just something people understand.
Yeah.
You know, so I think they're more likely to go for something like that. And yeah, the overalls, that's like everywhere, like that kind of thing. So I kind of feel like that's sort of the hot ticket item there.
Oh, you guys, this is really helpful, because I'm just like everybody else. I get too many ideas and I can't narrow down. So I feel like I'm good to go. David's request to see things on a dress form or on a model was one of my biggest challenges because I'm making shorts and my dress form doesn't have a booty. And my shorts are very, very junior. I am very 50 something, 50, I have 6, I've lost track. Maybe I'm 57. So I posted on a Seattle open shoot and the lovely model jumped in. The outfit does not fit her at all. So I had her show us the front first. I decided to make a plus size version because I had enough fabric to do so, and I can always resize something smaller, but once I've made a garment small, I can't go the other way. So, and I don't feel like the curvy girls get enough options. But you can see that this is a good 10 inches too small for this model. So it's very hard to get a sense of what the back of the garment looks like. I had a tremendous amount of trouble with the straps in terms of making them even. The bottom of the skirt, which is not straight, it had a slight curve to it, is what I used to make my straps. And so I had a lot of trouble getting them to be equal and not lumpy. The pockets, I at one point was terrified were too small, but I think they're just about the perfect size. I think that the print is too big for a large woman, so I wouldn't probably use this print if I made this design. If I made this pattern again, I would put it on something that's darker or smaller if I was doing plus size. So my choice to make a plus size garment because of the fabric I had was disappointing to me in that it's just too big of a print to put on a big person, I think. I was inspired by Sherry talking about linings, and I thought I'd make it so that you could drop the top and have kind of a hip hop version where the apron just sort of hangs down. But in fact, the straps are too tight to do that. I also had some challenges with my little Sharpie print that I had been experimenting with Sharpie printing years ago. And that stuff is not so permanent as you think. And when I started ironing and pressing, it started coming through onto different parts of my garment. I really appreciate Megan, and I really hate to do this with my garment, but I am going to show you the back side of this on me. So I'm going to step away from my headphones for a second and put.
It's cute on you.
Yeah, I think, I mean, when I look at it, I almost look at something that almost is designed to be a little oversized. So, and because it goes over your shoulders, it's going to stay up as an oversized. Like,
right. So I didn't let me finish because I didn't hear anything you were saying because I had my headphones
no worries.
off.
So I was assuming what I was saying is that I feel like it almost, compared to what it fit on her, I think it's almost a better fit on you. Like it may be slightly big, but I almost look at it as something that is designed to be slightly big on whoever's wearing it.
In terms of the size, I was asking for an 18 to 20 for the model. I am a 22, so it's tighter on me than what I envisioned it being.
Okay.
I'd like somebody with much more bust and youth. I'd like to have Anne's daughter. That's exactly the kind of and somebody who's closer to the age range, or even an 18, 19-year-old. So I would pair it with somebody who's a little smaller than me. And one thing that I want to change on the back in terms of the design, if I take it further, is to put a second dart in and a zipper. So right now the back is all elastic, so it's really easy to put on and take off, which is a challenge sometimes with the coveralls. You just wind up wriggling in that. Okay, I will shut up now so that you guys can talk. I want to hear what you have to say, and I have some questions for you.
I actually really like the big fabric on bigger clothing sometimes too. Like some of my clothes that I've done experimentally, like a skirt, have this huge pattern. And I remember starting from the same place and I've gotten the most compliments on those. So I think it can be done. But, and I love the idea of it being oversized and stuff too. I think it's super cute. It's fun. One thing I could see too, though, like that right where it comes together in the back and it's kind of gathering up, having like half a diamond or something there and having it gather out from that could be kind of cute. I don't know if that would be like at this stage, you know, if that would even be useful, but sometimes I like that little bit of an eye, that draw of the eye to that center of the back, like that part where we divot in can just be really flattering. So
I think the back is worth playing around with to do that. I think so. Rather than putting a hook and eye at the top of the zipper, letting it split is what you're suggesting.
maybe, or like having a piece of fabric that is almost like superimposed on it and the gathers come out from it. Does that make any sense? I think it'd be something fun to experiment with.
I feel like that would be a nice, a more unique thing than just putting a zipper in.
Where did
but
you?
I think some of the bulk, if I put a second, so I did want to make it to accommodate a size range, especially curvier girls. We tend to be so different. So I do like the idea of having some elastic in there, but I feel like there's too much and I want to take some of the bulk out of the back gathers. I hate gathers in the front, but I don't always mind them on the back as much.
Where did you say the fabric was from, or what? Did I
It's from a sort of 50s style dress. So it was a full dress. I kind of held it up last week and I think I have some photos of it somewhere. So it's a polyester. It's not if it was a real 50s dress, it probably would be a better fabric, but I love the brightness of the print. It's not very on brand for me because it's very junior, but I have a couple things that I'm putting into a pastel goth collection. So I have this notion of sort of gothing it up a little and putting it in with my pastel goths and making it very editorial, like putting some arm braces with it and fishnet stockings and, you know, a choker, and then, you know, mixing it in with other things that have that mix of pastel and bright colors with the dark gothy thing. So kind of thinking about how to fit it in with the other pieces so that it's not this weird one-off.
No, I think you've got a unique style that you're wanting, like you said, you're still trying to kind of figure out to get it polished. I think figuring out, you know, when you're dealing with plus size, I feel like there's such a range of what truly size it is, whether it's going to be a size 20, whether it'll look better on somebody that's size 18 or even 16. Like,
yeah, I'd really love to see it on an hourglass 18-year-old, you know, size 18 to 20. That's what I'd really like to see, because I feel like that'll give me, and I'd like to style it too. You know, just put it with some accents and clothes that I think make sense with it. So I'm just going to say that I felt pretty embarrassed showing it to you guys today, and especially after seeing all your stuff. So,
well, I think this is all a learning process.
It
and
is,
everybody is trying to grow from where we are now. I mean, I look at it from a photography side of things. If I'd show the pictures that I did, you know, back in the first couple of years of doing photography, it's nowhere near where my skill set is here. So, I mean, yeah, I think every time you look at this, it's a learning opportunity of things that you'd like to change and adjust, especially on such a short time frame to do this sort of thing.
Yeah, it took me a lot longer than some of you other designers are talking about, spending 3 or 4 hours doing something. And it really did take me like a good couple 8-hour days, you know, to get to this point. But I had problems with I had to go back and redo a lot of things. But yep. So that's cool. I feel like I learned a ton on this. And I'll be happy to put it aside and move on to the next thing.
Well, sounds good.
Suspenders, because I've started doing that on some of my garments, my ready to wear. I use stretchier fabrics usually that have a slight stretch so that you can have it a little snug. Not that I see it falling. I'm not trying to.
No, that's a great idea. Or the other thing, like suspenders have those adjustable straps too. I might try rating those from something else. I kind of liked the idea of using these little girly buttons because they're not a very girly print. And the straps are not set to length yet. So my thought was that I would put buttonholes on, which I'm terrified of buttonholes. So I didn't do them yet. I just pinned the buttons.
You're not alone. I hate buttons.
Right, buttonholes, like once you put it on and it bumps up against the edge of the seam halfway through and stops, and it's just, anyway.
You know, every time I try to do a buttonhole with my machine, something happened and they look terrible, and I see other people does it and it looks so pretty. So I like zippers and ties.
At this point, I just gave up using my sewing machine to make my buttonholes and just
it's horrible.
I just hand sew my buttonholes because the machine doesn't work for me.
I think I would like to learn how, so I'm gonna start trying to, because my mom used to do it and then she used to do it so perfect. But it's just buttonholes, and then the machine only does certain amount. If you want to do like an inch and a half for a coat or a thick, don't do it. It will break the machine. But
I like your input, Unique, that you're sewing your own. So I'm going to learn how to sew my own buttonholes so that I don't have to have this machine fear.
Give us a class. Give us a class.
I'm still not sure what I'm making. I sketch. My sketches aren't really a lot better than when I was a child. So I tend to design for the fabric. I mean, I'll have a sketch and that's what I'm going to do. And I pick up the fabric and the fabric goes, I don't want to be that. So that's the kind of designer I am. And so I love to print. I love African print. And but one of the things I wanted to do is I have this bolt of white poly cotton that I don't know why I have it. So what I think I'm going to do, I think I'm going to just print the fabric. I'm going to do some sublimation printing and print the fabric. And
whoa, what's sublimation printing?
Oh, so sublimation printing is basically it's kind of this water soluble printing where you print on the paper and it's heat activated and it gets absorbed into, has to be a poly based kind of fabric.
Wow. This is so cool.
Do you have any examples of that?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, let's see.
Just show us.
This is awesome. Cool.
I have this quote that I did for a show last year, and it's upholstery fabric, and this is what it looks like on the inside, just plain white upholstery. And I wanted to change it up. I wanted it to have a pop of color. So then I ended up printing the inside.
So you printed onto.
Oh man, that's pretty.
So you'll see them on like t-shirts or anything. You'll see this, and it looks like it's screen print, but it's not screen printing. It's sublimation.
So you printed onto just regular 8x10 paper, and then
I actually have a sublimation printer. So it prints 24 inches wide. So I print it kind of depends on what I'm printing.
Like a roll. You print a roll of paper and then.
Even 8x10, whatever. So you'll print the image on this, and then you have your heat press it at the temperature that you sublimate at, which is like 400 degrees, and it transfers the print to the fabric.
Wow.
Then is it
Sublimation
washable?
printing, that is totally worth looking into.
If your fabric's washable, then is the printed thing washable?
Oh yeah, it's so the ink gets adhered to the polyester in the fabric. It's not going anywhere.
Wow.
Yeah,
That is so cool. Sublimation printing onto poly fabrics.
I spend so much money buying all these bolts of African print fabrics. I'm thinking, for this challenge, I'm gonna make my own print, and so that way I'm not wasting money.
Awesome.
Paying all that shipping fee and those extra boxes when I have some fabric. So that's kind of what I'm gonna do. And I want to make this. I don't know. Yeah. So it's kind of like this little girl, like a 3-tier dress. I used to do it till back a while back, and I kind of want to get back in there. So that's kind of what I'm going to try and see how I'm going to do it, incorporate some ropes.
Whoa, cool.
And, you
Where
know,
the ropes go in the design?
so I'll probably use the rope for the belt. So I'll cover it with the fabric and use it for the belt. So that's what I'm going to play around with this 3-tiered layer and see how it comes out. So the process, so what I ended up doing, so that's my design. And I wanted to print my own fabric because that's something I like to play around with. So that was the process of me designing the fabric. And then that was the fabric printed. There were some flaws because I did procrastinate. So I ended up doing all this stuff last night, the printing, the patterning, and the cutting. So it took me a little bit of time on the fabric. It wasn't perfect because with this, for me to do the printing technique that I do, I need to have a high polyester count. And the jersey fabric ended up not having as much polyester as I thought. And then because they were all scraps fabric that were left over, I didn't have know right away what everything was. So we gotta get out of this so I can go into showing. So there we go, stop sharing. So yeah, so that was the process of me making the fabric. And I wanted to do something quick, ready to wear. And as I'd said the last time is I wanted to get back into doing some children clothing, I guess. So I ended up with this, and I liked the contrast of doing the jersey on top and then the poly cotton fabric, a little heavier weight on the bottom. So yeah.
Oh my goodness, that is adorable.
That is an amazing print. That is just so cute.
I agree.
And I see this being even a mommy and me. I see this where I can do and add a mommy version and a kiddie version. So it's kind of like a mommy and me kind of outfit.
Cool. I just love it. The mommy and me seller. I'll take it.
It's very cute.
Very cute.
So it was challenging doing something that wasn't, I guess, designed and all that, but I like the end result.
Yeah.
It is design. You designed your fabric and you made it. Please tell us more about that. You have a printer, obviously.
Yes, I do. So I do sublimation printing, and so basically it's just getting that, like I said, for sublimation, it has to be polyester based substrate. And I just got my fabric with a good poly count, designed my the fabric, printed it, and then I had to press the fabric in order to get that ink to adhere to the polyester in the whatever the fabric is.
It looks like it adhered much more strongly on the skirt fabric than on the top fabric.
Yeah, because the polyester count in this was low. And because typically when I'm buying, I know what the polyester content is, but this was just some jersey that was sitting around. And when I felt it, it felt like it had a little bit more polyester in it than I anticipated. But when I pressed, I realized, oh snap, it probably had like maybe 40% polyester in it, which doesn't give it. But then, I don't know, I like the contrast, but I definitely have to use more polyester content so that when it's washed, the color doesn't fade.
I like the lines on the armpit too, the way that it comes down on the side and then goes off. I just think that that's really charming.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I kind of mimicked growing up in Jamaica, we all wear uniforms. So I remember in basic school, I guess it was a kindergarten, that we kind of wore some uniforms that were kind of similar aesthetically with the cutout, because you'd have to wear a shirt under it. So that was kind of where I was drawing that from.
That's super. Okay, now tell us about your market. Who's your ideal client for this? You said mommy and me, and where do you reach them? What kinds of stores would you take this to, or is it? Where would you go with it? How would you price it? What are your thoughts on that, on marketing it and promoting it?
Price point, I'm looking at the child one for about 50 and the mommy between 100 and 150.
Does that give you enough time for all the printing of the fabric and all of that? Are you?
So in a case like this, then, you know, it would be where I'd have to make sure I pre-print the fabric, because printing the fabric as needed basis, then definitely that would put my price up, because spending that time for that.
All right, and are there shops that you know of where you could vend this, or do you, when you sell things yourself, how, do you mainly sell through Instagram and online, or what's your sort of business operation like at this point? I don't know very much about you, so.
So right now, this would probably end up between my website or my Etsy shop.
Okay.
So what I do is I use a lot of it is more like word of mouth promotion and sending it out, and then I get the orders in, which I'm trying to change to, you know, maybe doing in a boutique somewhere. So how that kind of plays out.
Nice.
Well, it's just super cool. I think the print, even more than the silhouette, the print is just what gets me really excited. And I just, the way you just talked about sublimation printing as if we all knew about it last week just made my head spin, but I love what you can do with it. It's just gorgeous.
I think if you can find a lot of the fabric to print on, you know, whether it's your prints, I think even when you talked about it being Mommy and Me, my head started spinning of like, you could even have them come up with their own, you've got the pattern, they could come up with their own, do you want the print to be?
Yes.
Whether it's a drawing that the kid has made and they want to turn it into a dress or whatever it might be, you've kind of got a very repeatable product there that I think could be very much a hit. My only thing for you would be is how much does it cost for you to do the dye sublimation part? Is that a heavy cost? Would it be better to minimize how much of the print that you're actually printing on versus doing all of it in the new print or keeping some of it? So I think of like a printer, and the ink costs for printers get expensive. So that was the only thing that I was thinking of from that side of things, from a cost effective.
Yeah, I was looking at that too, but with the sublimation printing, especially since I use a bulk ink system, the cost is not very high on the print per sheet. But if I were to do a dedicated print, I could see sourcing that, sending my print, my design overseas, getting the print, get the bulk roll of fabric, or using someone who does textile printing, which would probably be a little more cost effective than me doing the printing myself.
Well, I'm wondering about the printing versus dyeing. Seems like the printing, I'm sure there's an environmental cost to printing, but there's also like a lot of polyester fabric out there that's hard to use, and especially in secondhand situations. If we come across white polyester, should we send it to you because you could use it? I mean, it just seems like I would love to. Whereas I come across white polyester and I just shrug my shoulders at it. I mean, I can't dye it and it's not very pleasant all on its own, but I'd love to give it to you if you can use it. Or is there specific fabric parameters that you really need?
It just needs to be polyester. The higher the polyester count is, the better the ink adheres to it.
Well, send me your address for next month. I'm going to send you some polyester, some white polyester that I can't use. I'll find the biggest chunks I can and send it to you.
I like how you printed your own designs on there. I see like a lot of designers out there, and then I like how more the ethnic designs, like they're starting to emerge more. I see like a lot more native designs coming out, so I'm happy to see that as well. And it seems with the diversity of the community, like Seattle, I think you would do really good selling those.
Yeah, and Unique's actually in Colorado, right? Which is like a sister state to Washington,
Yes,
okay.
David, I moved.
So other thoughts for Unique before we move on?
Well done.
Yeah.
Beautiful work.
Love it.
I love it. It's so cute.
So I saw a lot of your design, everybody's designs are a little more complicated and more fancier ones. I just thought when Stacy told this should be done in 2 days time. So I was thinking in that time frame with what I have and what can be done. So you can see this is a kaftan kind of cardigan, an open kaftan kind of thing. So I already have a sari that's been rotting in my closet. This is the sari.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. So I was thinking maybe I have sorry, that's my daughter. She's having a break.
Pause for cuteness.
That is Maya. That is the one who changed names. So so I have few like button down shirts here. So I thought maybe I can use the collars from there and kind of embellish with glitters the collars and add it to the sari and let it drop. And again, I have few fringe. I can show the fringes. These are like been there, not used. And so like, I didn't know what to do. I thought maybe I'll add it to the kaftan thing and it to the ends and it will work out.
So, and I just to understand your drawing is a full length one because I don't see a person in the drawing. So it goes all the way to the ground?
Yeah, it goes all the way to the end. Like it's a full.
Lovely.
Yeah, that is one. Another one is I was thinking, again, I had few shirts lying around. So I thought maybe I'll take 2 of check shirts and create a shirt dress kind and make the sleeve like a mutton chop sleeve. Either the bottom will be of a shirt dress itself, or I'll just I had like jeans that's there. I'll just remove the jeans. I'll open it up, put some buttons, and add a pocket that matches to the shirt dress above.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and kind of coordinate it in that way. So that's my second design that I was thinking. Third one is again, if the sari that was lying around, if the kaftan is not made, I can make like a wraparound skirt out of it. And I have a kind of a black fabric. So I'll use that to make a crop top out of it, and got this in Amazon package thing.
Oh, I have some of that.
So I just thought maybe I'll create a bow kind of in the front of it and kind of make it stand out.
So that piece is more of a runway piece then, or rather than a retail piece?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of a runway piece then, because the top has that.
Yeah.
So this is one like a dress. Sorry, my sketches are so bad. Can you just see this?
Great. Yeah, that's good. And if you hold it really still, it helps.
Yeah. So I thought of, I have a lace piece. So I was trying to make a completely fitted black with the black fabric. And I thought I'll add these laces, these fringes around, that goes around the dress, and like which one would be the one that can be made, or like which one sounds more. Yeah.
I missed a little bit, but the material that runway piece, the black part, is that normal fabric, like a washable fabric?
The bow?
No, not the bow, but whatever the dress is going to be.
Oh
made
yeah,
of.
yeah, it's washable. It's sari. The skirt is a sari fabric, like a chiffon kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I would just figure out the bow so that it's removable or somehow attachable, so that then the dress
it becomes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is actually
that's a good idea.
Yeah. Maybe I can put a Velcro something to it and just.
Velcro or some sort of a hook.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a great feedback.
I like the idea of the detachable bow.
Oh, thank you.
The people might not want to wear it with a bow, so they have the option of, wearing it without or with.
Without the bow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so that's something to think about, is if you're making it so the bow is detachable, to have it so without the bow, how does it look? So it's not just a piece of Velcro sitting there or
Okay.
something.
Yeah, no, and they can have like 2 different looks with a bow and without.
Yeah.
That shirt with the poof, the mutton sleeve with
Yeah.
the bow would be, in my opinion, so cool on the runway. It just looks very, you know.
That's a great idea. Like, I love
couture.
what Sherry's saying, is to take your mutton sleeve one with the jeans pocket and the men's shirt and then put the bow with that. It sounds, yeah, that sounds very
Oh yeah.
It looks
striking.
sounds contemporary, cool.
And
I don't
that,
know, all the above.
and the cotton fabrics with the paper make way more sense to me than the diaphanous ones with the paper.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, do what you want.
Yeah.
Do what's in your heart.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But
that's-
I yeah, all the perspectives matter too while making the decision. Like all the yeah. So yeah. I designed for the challenge was you're able to see this. My lighting isn't that good.
There you go. Oh, that's very pretty.
Yeah. So the initial fabric that I decided wasn't working with this 2-day thing. So I had to change my fabric. This is a sari. I'm wearing what I designed. Are you able to see? This is kind of a runway kind of thing that
Very beautiful.
it is a wrap skirt. And the top is actually made out of leggings. So I just, since the idea of this is like repurposing and stuff, so I made the top out of a legging. And I had a dress. I just cut up the lining of the dress to create the sleeve. So the mutton, the leg of the mutton kind of sleeve is hand sewn. It's the material wasn't sitting on my machine. My machine had troubles in the morning. So this was a really last minute that I did the sleeve. And this is kind of a removable bow that I made. So this is the Amazon, like it came, this is the part of Amazon packing recycled paper.
Wow.
So I just thought, just to go with the concept, I made this. And it was on our last meeting that all the few of them suggested if I make it removable, it would be like runway / everyday wear. So
Awesome. Perfect.
yeah. Were you all able to see what I with the?
Did you create the skirt too?
Yeah, it is a wrap skirt. It is cut out of a sari. So
Is it 2 different colors? Or
the print
just
is
black?
the print is like that. Like it has
Gotcha.
got a print. And
Oh yeah, we can't see the bottom of the skirt at all. Can you stand up on a chair or something, or?
There we go.
maybe like this. Is this
Oh
better?
yeah, and now talk.
That's cute.
Yeah, this was a very old sari that was designed by me and my friend together. But what happened is the design when it came, the print is upside down. So I'm not able to wear it as a sari anymore. So I thought I'll cut it and make it as a wrap skirt. So the material is georgette kind of finish, and yeah.
That's so fun.
Yeah, it's a very playful material. It's very easy to sew on the machine, and it's a less traveling too. So when we work with this kind of fabric, it's a easy one for because I don't need to hem the bottom.
And what's the waistband like on the skirt? Is
The waistband I again made it like these. The top part is actually the shirt collars, the collars of a shirt.
So
Oh,
smart.
cool.
So I have just repurposed it to make it like a strap band. And then, yeah, I cut out a strap out of the sari fabric.
Can you step back a hair so we can see
Yeah.
the waistband while you're talking about it?
Yeah. Is this a good view?
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are shirt collars. So I just cut out the collars out of an existing shirt. I always like to play with like low low and high low kind of feel. So the waistband also kind of high low all around, if you see.
Mhm.
This I just made out of the sari. So since it's plain, the top is going to be plain. So just thought maybe the contrast color band would make it look more better. If I had time, I would have thought about adding kind of a pocket too to make it more functional. But yeah.
No, it's just more elegant that way.
Well, I really love the skirt. I feel like that's something that could, the movement of it is fantastic.
Yeah,
It's just it seems like a really nice fabric that anybody would want. And it seems really ready to sell. And I feel like the collar on the waistband is a nice, unique, subtle design point that makes it sort of fresh and interesting. So
what kind of shirts were the collars cut from?
It was like a regular men's shirt, button down, regular men's shirt. So I cut off the whole of the collar and the sleeve, the cuff of the sleeve too, to get it all the way to my waist. Mm-hmm. So,
how comfortable is the shirt to wear?
This is like it's a leggings material, like the fleece. The fleece.
I'm thinking of the sleeves. Do they itch at all?
The sleeves are not bad actually. It is not at all itchy or anything. But if I feel if it's for a longer period, I might need to add a padding underneath so that if I sweat or something, it might be a little bit of irritation. Other than that, it's all good.
What about like a binding, like a bias binding? That would kind of cover the
yeah, that part too works. Yep.
And it would make it all feel a little more finished. I don't know if you'd be able to sew something like that where you couldn't sew through the mesh, but if you had it encased in fabric, you could maybe sew through it.
Yeah, maybe. So
what were the biggest challenges that you had in making it, and what do you feel like you're happiest with, and what
I am happiest with the skirt? I didn't think that it I didn't use any kind of pattern. Like I did like the garment duplication. For me, like garment duplication is the thing that works best for me. Like I have done fashion designing and pattern making and everything, but I don't know, for most of the part, I'm so visual, like the patterns kind of seem confusing for me how to. So I lay whatever I want to make. What I do is I take the actual duplicate of something. Like if I'm planning to make a shirt, I just get some kind of shirt that I have. I place it, I draw it, and then I try to see like how I can play around with this, or like lay it on my form, like drape everything on the dress form and see how I can make. Visually, I have to see before I make anything. So the mutton sleeve, the leg of the mutton kind of sleeve was challenging for me. I saw a few pattern making techniques where if I had like 5 to 6 days, I could have done it, but I didn't have that much time with me with the household thing. So what I did was I was just draping around my form. I was playing around with this. Then I said with the machine, it wasn't working well machine. So I said, I'll just hand sew this whole thing. And I just wore it. And I told my mom to go, like I was instructing my mom, can you just sew over it? So the deadline was like the challenging part for me because I'm not that good of a sewer or pattern maker. For me, that is challenging. Like
you made 2 whole pieces. I think you should be very impressed with yourself. So
thank you so much. So that is my presentation for this. I have met David, I think 2-3 times over some fashion meetups and things. And David had then told me one line that whatever you do, you should never give up your art. When I was talking to him about like people in my own field switching because there is no monetary benefit out of like whatever we're trying to do. So I always remember his words.
Let's talk a little bit about the money, because I've been asking everybody what price point, but maybe we should be asking the group rather than each of us having to put a price point on it. Like if you were selling the skirt, first of all, how long did it take you to make that piece versus the top? And and how long for the top, and what price point would you try and put on it? And who do you see wearing these pieces? Where do they live in the world?
The skirt took around like 1.5 hours for me to lay down, cut it out, the fabric, and to cut the collars and match it with the waistlines, and everything was 1.5 hours. The top went quickly because I used the quickly as in the base of the top went quickly because it was a leggings that was, I just cut the leggings out for the frame of the bodice. And then the sleeve was the challenging part, which took around like, again, like 2 hours, I can say. Like the whole of the top might have gone more than 2 hours. So where I see the skirt from any like a teenage kid to someone till 40s and 50s to wearing the skirt. But the top, maybe someone till maybe 35, 40 years, the max I see, who would like to wear the top. Price point wise, I would say I would add like around $50 for the skirt. And for the top, I would say around like $70 just for the sleeve. Yeah.
What's the fabric in the skirt?
Oh, skirt is a georgette. And it's got a handprint on it.
What kind of fiber though? It's a georgette?
Yeah,
does that mean it's cotton? I don't remember my fabrics.
No, it's not cotton. It's got the polyester weave into it. But it is not less raveling and stuff. So it's very easy to work with rather than like the organza and stuff, which is tacky to work on.
Didn't you say that in the skirt you actually designed some of that fabric as well?
Yeah, the sari. This was, yeah.
Yeah, that would have to be factored in, I would think. So that gave it a totally unique look. Yeah.
You said $50 retail for the skirt?
Retail. For retail, I think I'll have to think about it, like how much. Okay. Yeah.
Way more, please.
Yeah, yeah, I would place.
You put a lot of, yeah, and designer fabric.
Yeah, the fabric.
I guess I would be looking at more of like for the whole outfit, like a 300 to 350 range. You know, but then again, I mean, it all depends on a number of different factors. But I mean, I'm looking at it going, if someone's getting a top to bottom outfit, roughly about 350 would be probably your cap on it. But you know, like you're saying, definitely more for if you're just pricing on one of the pieces like the skirt, it's got to be more. But I think that's one of the hardest parts is to evaluate your work, your time, your energy that you put into it, your skill set, and figure out what your prices are. You know, part of it is what I'd recommend is come up with a kind of calculation. What is your material cost? What are the hard costs for the materials? Then how much are you charging yourself per hour? Are you, and I've literally done this where somebody did the math. I'm like, oh, I was going to charge $200 for this. Okay, how many hours did you put in? Oh man, it was 15 hours. I'm like, wait, you're charging $200 and it took you 15 hours to do it. And you want to make a living off of this? Or is this something that you're doing as a hobby? And I think realizing you start calculating it. So no matter what you're doing, you're like, okay, this took me 5 hours. Great, I charge myself this amount of money. The materials cost this. Here's what my price is. And it should be kind of a quick and dirty way of pricing your garments.
But I was looking at the skirt and feeling like, well, that's something that if you could replicate it, because you know you need 2 saris or whatever to make it, and 1 men's shirt and an hour and a half of your time, you actually have a formula to make something that I think is commercially very viable and that can be also made in an amount of time that's very reasonable. Whereas most of the pieces that we've been looking at so far, I mean, there's discovery, which you can't really quantify, and that's going into our challenges. But in terms of production time, your production time is very, very short, which I think is a good thing. If we can have short production time and repurpose materials, then we're really getting to the point where we have something that we can retail in a way that it can be reproduced and multiplied and capitalized on. So I was more excited about it, not necessarily as a whole outfit, but just as having a potential for ready to wear that our custom work doesn't have. So that's why I was sort of excited about it.
Okay. Yeah.
And I love that it can be sold as separate.
Yeah.
This, but
I
what
have a
was it
suggestion.
originally?
If she took an hour and a half, let's say 3 hours, and people is gonna pay like 150 or whatever, you have to see also the finish has to be clean, nicely done.
Yes.
If not, even though, you know, they won't pay that much, they
Mhm.
won't buy anything.
Yep.
Customers are picky.
Yep.
And I'm sorry if I missed this, but what did you say the tulle sleeves were made from?
Oh,
Was it-
it's the underlining of my daughter had a long dress kind of thing. I just ripped it out of her. Yeah, she had a double net lining.
Cute, very cute.
I decided I'm kind of in the same boat. I have just a pile of materials that I've chosen that are also wool. And so my idea is I would like to start creating jackets, like children's jackets or even adults jackets. And like you're saying, it's pretty itchy. So I'm trying to figure out what would be the best material. And so I'd like to start out just with doing like a child's jacket. I have a son, he's 6 months old. So I thought if I start on a tiny jacket, just to kind of get the feel of it, I will be able to create larger ones. And so if I blow this, it won't be so bad of a thing. But I've got like a ton of these like Pendleton scraps, like
Oh, beautiful.
all different all different colors. And so there's this lady that sews they're like wrap covers for when you put your child in there with the backpack. And then so she makes these wool Pendleton covers. And so I just purchased like a ton of her scraps. So I have like a whole bunch of like really beautiful, like some of them are the thinner weight wool. And then some of them are like a thicker weight. And so I was thinking with it being like the winter almost over, if I would do like a lighter wool or even like a thicker wool, and maybe even different types. I liked how they were talking about the contrast of the lining fabric. And so like I just have like a ton of like, so I started making a few Pendleton purses out of this and they sold really quick, which I was really surprised. I'll just show you that amount, but I have a whole bin of them. And so I got this couple jackets that just like old jackets. My boyfriend's coat is like, I don't like this no more. I want something different. So what I did was just kind of cut it up. And then I was able to see how they construct the pockets and the lining. And then my niece had a bomber jacket. And so I just kind of cut that up as well. It was kind of hard to cut it because it's still a really super nice jacket. But I was like, well, this is a challenge or else it's just going to sit in the closet waiting for a new home. And so I cut this up. So I kind of cut it up already, my pieces. And so this is what I came up with. It's just like a little tiny one, like a super tiny jacket. And then the sleeves are going to be
Oh, that's cute.
from the large jacket. And then from this other smaller jacket, I cut out this, I think it's called a rib knit.
Ribbing.
Yeah.
And so I cut that off the sleeves. And then the lining from the larger jacket I cut. But I kind of like the idea of like maybe when I do more jackets, use this for the larger jackets. But for my son, this being my first jacket, I thought maybe doing a contrast fabric, something a little bit more lighter because he's not going to be running around in it. He can't even crawl yet. And so that was kind of my idea of the upcycle, because I have a lot of jackets that I've purchased. Like the latest thing over here is online auction. And so like when I first seen that, I was like, oh my goodness, I could totally like upcycle these jackets. So I have all kinds of cool jackets and jean jackets where I'd like to add these little Pendletons onto them. And I
Wow.
think people would totally go for it right now. And over here, Pendleton is huge, like being in a large Native community and living on the reservation, but it's so expensive. Nobody can afford it. You know, like a full-size jacket like this with the bomber jacket with this being Pendleton, these go for $350, $400.
Wow.
And people will buy it all. Like across the street from me is Crafts Fabrics, and that's their specialty. And so I've been going over there, checking out their stuff. And so what I would like to do is upcycle these jackets, but also make them more affordable so that people could buy them. Like me, I can't afford $350, $400 for a jacket. And
No,
then
I think I love your fabric choices. I think that's
Mhm.
going to be adorable. For the little jacket that you're making. I'm super excited to see that.
I have an opinion. Well, more a suggestion. If you feel like working with wool, you know that in the fashion industry, you always do your things a year before. Like for example, in March, we're showing 2020, 21, 22 winter in March. You show winter. So you can, and if you put it in Etsy, well, it's for all around the world. You know, we are winter here in some other countries are in the summer. When we're in the summer, they're on, you know, and Etsy is around the world. So you just do it. Do whatever you have, do it and put it on. Yes.
Don't sell yourself short either. I know you want to make an affordable jacket, but those jackets are going to be amazing and can get a pretty penny. So if you can get a pretty penny, you deserve the money that those jackets can bring in too.
Yeah, I know the fashion industry, like for us, that we do everything ourselves, is hard to put a price on.
Right.
But, you know, we have to do it to make it that you win some and affordable, but try to see how much they cost a regular one. And then maybe you do a little less, or, you know, they just discount it. Oh,
yeah,
your material should do 3 times or 4 times the cost of it.
What?
You add a little more.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Mercedes, is there any other input that you want from us, or you feel good?
I feel good about that. I think a big part of me was pricing things as well. Like I know when I priced my purses, like I priced them a little bit high, but nobody tried to lowball me or try to half price it. A lot of people bought it before there was even a price on there.
Right.
I think you might be underestimating the value of the work that you're doing. I think that when you come back on Friday with a little jacket for us to look at, maybe get input from everybody in the group, and we can help you find a price point that feels realistic to us for you to try out, you know?
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I would also say that it seems like you've done some work a little bit, Mercedes, but like if you could just sort of keep track of what materials you used and the time, just even if you're making the little jacket, even though the first one that you do is always going to be longer than the other ones, but that can also help you in figuring out how to price, to know exactly how much it, you know, how long it takes, or if you're using like buttons or anything like that. And so that can really help you kind of figure it out as well.
So I'm pretty new to upcycling, creating like new garments, and I'm a self-taught seamstress, so everything that I've learned was from like my mother-in-law and creating ceremonial wear, but I wanted to switch out from there. And so I made a jacket from 2 old jackets that they're really nice jackets, but they're just sitting there, you know, and so they're not really getting its use. And so I kind of surprised myself with it. And so I just created this tiny little bomber jacket. And so this lady sells Pendleton scraps that she makes these covers for the baby. And then this jacket sleeve was the back panel of a larger leather jacket. And then the second jacket I used was just used for the rib knit bottom. And so there's a huge market for these where I live right now, but just nobody can afford them. And not very many people make them. And then after making it, I realized this wasn't even that hard. And it didn't take me very long. I cut out my pieces, which took not very long. And then I just sewed this up last night. And so I went with just a like regular Pendleton print. And then I got a
Oh,
cotton
cool. Oh my gosh.
and there's little tiny pockets. I would have chose a different fabric for my pocket next time though, because it feels like I don't really know all my fabrics yet, but it seems like a thinner like t-shirt fabric. And so yeah, and it wasn't very hard. I took the zipper, like it was hard for me not to run to the store and just go buy zippers and go buy like rib knit. And so like it's a super huge zipper, but I like how it's like sturdy. And I think the only thing I really struggled with is like my top stitching needs work. And then so I've just recently bought a ton of patterns, jacket patterns, without even knowing how to make coats. And so I thought this is a good example to start with, and then also get like reviews or critiques or anything. And it's pretty plain, simple, clean cut, but I really enjoyed it. And my son will fit it. It's made for a size 12 months, and he's only 6 months. And I was gonna have him be my model today, but he's crashed out right now. So that's kind
Oh,
of
wow, that's just so super, super cute with the lining and everything. It's just you definitely have a product that's, I think, highly marketable there. That the challenge for you is that you're in a community that can't afford it, you know. And so the question is how to bridge that gap. And I wonder if we can brainstorm a little bit around that, see if we can come up with suggestions for you, and also help you find a price that does seem like it's going to help you go to the next level.
Well, a couple of things that I would say is, I think realistically, a lot of times we design with, you know, ourselves in mind, and the reality is you as an individual might not be the target audience. You know, you're saying that you know, depending on what your price point is, it sounds like you didn't spend that much time on it. I mean, it looks fantastic when you totally undersold it as you started off on your thing, and then all of a sudden you pulled this thing up. I'm like, wow. And even some of the little things that I wasn't expecting. I was not expecting a liner that would be fun and playful. You mentioned about the zipper wasn't ideal, but I started thinking about kids, and I'm like, the bigger zipper, almost the oversized zipper almost works for them, because oftentimes it isn't the kids that put it on, it's the adults that put it on, and they're fidgeting around. So you have something you can actually grab onto and kind of hold them still with. It's probably going to be fantastic. I think realistically, you've got a great product there, but finding a market for it, I don't think would be that hard. The market just may not be who you associate with. It might not be your friend base, or it might not be, you know, your family base, whatever it might be. It may be a different clientele. But if that's the product you're coming out with, I wouldn't change your product to meet your clientele. I would find a niche for who's going to buy that product and what it's valued at.
I would say one of my brainstorms is in that child size to make, you know, a small, medium, large versions of it, and hit a kid's store and go to a retailer where they take a percent and ask for their help pricing it. But that just needs a price tag on it. It's a very store friendly, ready to wear, easy sell.
I honestly was just disappointed to hear how small it was, because I've got a nephew that's 5, and I'm like, done. We'll do a photo shoot with it. It's perfect. And then you said it's for some of this small. I'm like, no, they call him Big Baby for a reason. He is too big for something like that. But no, it's very well done. It looks.
Well,
I think you've got even a market for yourself that, you know, a niche.
You
can go
could
into.
take a custom order from David for right now. I mean, you could take custom orders too, like do a photo shoot and then say, hey, I'm taking orders, and just keep it online. But I feel like as fast as you can crank them out, that's a beautiful design.
I think too, I liked how a lot of it, you could just go to this, like the secondhand, and get like one of these old jackets, or even couple jackets, and then this rib knit. I just, like, you know, when it's used, it kind of gets those fuzz balls. So what I did was just flip it around, and so then it looks like it's brand new because it hasn't been used.
And I think my recommendation would be is like, you found sourcing for 90% of your materials. I would buy that as a brand new fabric. You know, buy that. You're talking about the lining for the pocket. You know, I wouldn't even know that. You know, when you said you went to the store, I'm like, did she just go buy this at the store? Like, it looks very polished. But if that's what you're going to have trouble finding, you know, even though it's 10 to 20% of your being new materials, if it's going to make it that much easier, because it sounds like you have a great source for the sleeves and for the main part of the jacket, to be able to get those scraps and be able to utilize those. Find something else to source the other stuff. I mean, even if you got to find a place to source the zipper, that you can make it repeatable for yourself, so it isn't you scrambling. Like, it doesn't have to be 100% recycled to be considered recycled.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this notion that people, I didn't mean to give the impression that every single thing that we use in our pieces has to be recycled. So the people that are scrambling to dye zippers the right color, I meant to say this earlier, it's fine to use notions, it's fine to use things. We're just trying to wrap our brains around the bigger picture and how we can be more in alignment with something that's sustainable long term.
I think for me, the challenge was to try to use as much that I already had in my studio.
Totally. Any way you want to take it. Yeah. It's great to do it. Just don't pull your hair out going crazy. Yeah. And when we are retailing, like, you know, there's a thing that makes it streamlined and realistic, and streamlined is part of sustainable. Great.
Can I ask a quick business question? Is there a reason to not like sell to your local community if you have people in mind, you know, like at one price, but actually do something out to stores at a different or something, you know, I mean, because it sounds like she really had a heart for the people around her, but yet that's a marketable product, you know, where she can make good money on it too.
My brainstorm, this is because I think we all face this. We want to give our friends, you know, a good deal on what we've done. And I remember reading something an artist said once, which is, well, your friends are the ones that should support you more than anyone else by paying your full price. So we want to give out. So my kind of solution is to do trades with people. You know, I gave a few shirts away and wound up getting meals and stuff like that in exchange. If you put your love into something, just tell your friend or your loved one, you know, give it back to me in whatever way you want to, but make it clear that they should give you something back for it, that, you know, value yourself.
Something that I would also say is always give them the price that it is worth. So when I do photo shoots, I say, okay, I know my pricing for a 2-hour shoot, say it's, you know, $490. But because I know that, you know, that might not work for you, here's my normal price. So they set the value, you set the bar of what they should understand and expect. And then say, you know, hey, I'll knock $100 off, I'll knock 20% off, or I'll knock 30% off. They'll be appreciative, but you're still establishing your, you know, your gauge for pricing.
I'm going to second David, and we're about to get cut off. So that's why I'm jumping in here. So I'm just going to second that. I'm going to set us up a new Zoom call, and then we're going to move on to Anne. Sorry, Mercedes. Okay.
This one.
Okay.
Nice job on that. That was absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was going to say I'm much like Lauren and have a million ideas. Years ago, I sewed every day, never went anywhere without a project, and then life happened and I had kids. I have 20-year-olds that really want quilted jackets.
Oh,
So
cool.
I have a quilt. I took a jacket that my daughter got for Christmas and made a pattern, and then made a mock-up last night. A short jacket, we kind of went back and forth, short or long, with a collar, and it overlaps in the front, but I haven't figured out if I'm going to have closures, snaps, or buttons, or maybe a zipper. But I'm not sure the weight of the quilt, what I'm going to want, so I'll figure that out later. I'm going to bind around the edges. I have a vintage quilt that I bought at a flea market like 20 years ago that I thought I'd display. I thought I'd hang in the house, but I just haven't. So I figured its purpose is going to be to cut up. And if it works, I have 3 20-year-old, 20-something daughters that would all love one. So I think
you'll have a model for us on Friday.
I will have a model. And I figured I'll just do quilted jackets for a while. And when I am done with quilted jackets, then maybe I'll have small children in my life and start on my dresses. But I was just having a hard time focusing too. I feel good about the pattern. And I thought I was going to want to kind of play around with the pattern, but when my model tried on the mock-up, I think it's perfect. Just kind of short hip width. The mock-up had a yoke in the back, and I would love to have some gathering there. But I think the weight of the quilt, I'm just going to keep it really boxy and really simple. My sleeve doesn't really have any easing. So I guess feeling like I don't really need any, probably at
You're good
10
to
o'clock
go.
tonight. I wish I could ask a few questions to see what you think, but at this point in my mind, I think it's going to go straight through. So I wasn't new in technology. I wasn't very good about taking pictures, but I started with a quilt, and then my daughter's wearing the jacket that I made. So, how do I reverse can I reverse the camera?
No,
you can't.
Here, I think if you just, you can place it right here.
So here. We thought outside would be fun, but maybe it's too bright. There
Might be a bit too bright.
yeah.
You can turn, yeah, have her face away from the sun. Have her facing into the sun. It should help.
The sun's right here.
I don't, this might just be too much.
I think it's a little harsh of light.
It might be.
Hey, stop!
Okay. Anyway, so I am really happy with it. I made a mock-up. Originally took a jacket that she had that she liked and made a pattern out of it, and then made a mock-up. I haven't ever made one before, so I had to figure out pattern placement, and I centered the blocks in the back, but I wish that I would have done the sashing bar down the middle and then had 4 blocks back here instead of 1. Turn around. But I did center the sashing bar down the front, and I think that is more representative of a quilt. But in the end, I still like it. What else? I'm excited about it. And I have 22, 25-year-old daughters, and they're all going crazy because it's fashionable to that age group. So I think I have 2 more quilts, so I'll make quilts for my own kids, and then I guess my dilemma is where to find quilts. But I'm excited.
Very cool.
Goodwill?
Yeah, I think downtown Seattle Goodwill might have a quilt sale once a year, so I'll look into that. We have a free site in our Facebook marketplace for our neighborhood, and I'll ask there.
Oh yeah, Buy Nothing is a great place to
Right.
source things, you know.
Right, and this quilt was damaged, so I was able to cut around the parts that I didn't like and then use the good parts. But yeah, I just think I want one too. I think it's a great marketable thing. And then I was going to talk about technical stuff. I have a lot of technical knowledge, but for those of you learning how to quilt or learning how to sew, you still don't know the answers. You still kind of have to trial and error, and you never quite know which technique you want to use, and then you might second guess yourself and go back to another. That's what I do all the time. I don't know if some people just get
What's hanging off of the?
I am going to do bias binding
Oh,
on
okay.
the final part, so I have it pinned in, but I haven't finished it yet.
Oh,
And
awesome. Okay.
and I'll top stitch it, but I hand stitch to get the curve so that it'll top stitch correctly. Yeah. Oh, and I had to figure out the collar. I'll probably keep rethinking that. I should have done like an iron-on pellon on the back of the collar. It's not really going
Helen's
to matter.
interfacing, is that what?
Yeah, I should have done an interfacing on the back of this.
Yeah.
But I was afraid of the bulk, and I really would have preferred a double layered quilted collar, but I just didn't think I was going to get it through my machine. And for this part, I ended up using a denim needle that helped a lot. And then I lined it because I was worried about how to bind all the edges, and I didn't want to spend that much time on this coat. So I lined the bodice, I lined the sleeves separately. So that seam, you can see both edges, and I serged them, but the other seams are hidden in the lining. So I didn't think about what I wanted this to look like either. I didn't realize it was going to show. I should have thought about that, but I'm okay with it. I think in the future I would try to line it with maybe some color, and then I'm going to put welt pockets on it. Anyway, I'm excited. Yeah.
Lovely. What kind of, go ahead, David.
No, I think it's a really cool concept. You know, I know with a lot of quilts, the fabric is somewhat soft on the outside. Have you done anything to kind of protect it so that it's going to be a little bit more durable out in the everyday world?
No, but I definitely avoided any part of the quilt that it felt like it was less durable.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it's going to probably end up with a shelf life. But the quilt itself was in pretty good shape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and no, you know, it's not weather resistant or anything. So I would call it a heavy sweater.
You can do a tote bag that goes with it.
A tote bag, yeah. Well, and now I have scraps too. So I tried to calculate the scrap size so that there are still some squares to do a bag. Or I would love to, one other idea is like cosmetic bags.
Yeah.
And that would be really cool out of this.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if I'll be the quilt jacket.
Model.
It looks really well done.
Yeah, it could be fun to make a whole bunch of them. I had so many ideas that
Do you have a sense of how much time? You said that the 2 days wasn't enough. So like in terms of the hours that you put into it, do you have a sense of what it'll cost you in terms of your time to replicate it?
Yeah, I would say I could totally make one in 2 days. I just didn't have 2 days to devote to sewing. They sell on the internet for $1,000, $1,500, crazy amounts of money. I think I would be happy if I made $500 on a jacket, but I could see it going higher than that. And depending on the cost of the quilts, this quilt may have cost $70 when I bought it. So.
I do think one of the factors you're gonna have to play into it is letting people know that it won't be a durable outdoor door quote. That may be one of the catching points for you from a selling of it, because you don't want somebody to go, well, I wore it, 10 or 15 times and I wore it outside and it scratched and it ripped, and I'm like, I want my money back.
Yeah, there may have to be a disclaimer about the age of the quilt and then its durability.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you said it's from the 40s, you think?
I think it is, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting if there's some sort of clear spray that you could put on, if it was a housing product, if you're, doing flooring, I'd be like an
isn't there
epoxy of some
Scotch
sort.
Guard? Doesn't
There is
Scotch Guard
Scotch Guard, but that probably wouldn't help with the strength of the fabric, trying to keep the fabric intact. There probably are finishes you could spray on it.
That's what I'd wonder, and I'd probably look into so that you could see about getting a little bit more longevity out of it.
And it looks sun, what do you call that? Faded by the sun, but the actual fibers in the fabric are totally intact. The damaged parts was a stain here and a stain there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this particular quilt will have some longevity, but yeah, people are going to need to know the health of the quilt. Yeah.
Well, I also want to commend you on your presentation, having your daughter here to model it and light where we can see her, and having it made to someone's specific size that's all top notch. That's super helpful.
Well, and that was part of it, is just trying to get her size, which I would say is plus model, which I'm always trying to figure out how to sew for that size, because I think there's a market for that too.
What size are you? Because I'm kind of looking for a plus size model.
20.
Yes, yeah, I could have used you this morning.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited. And then I hadn't figured out how I'm going to close it. And before I sew this binding on, I might keep thinking about that, see what she wants. It might look cute with a zipper. Or
I was almost thinking buttons.
Buttons, yeah.
Like Laura, for some reason, I think of like the kid's childhood corduroy, the child's book corduroy.
Yeah,
I could almost see like a bigger button, kind of a bulky button to go along with the uniqueness of the jacket to begin with.
Hold on 1 second, please. If she
Or
could
maybe just
custom
a
make her
couple.
buttons, that would be great.
Make the buttons.
Yeah, out of leftover quilt.
Yeah, or do a button cover hammer deal. Yeah. So.
Or have Unique print some cool fabric and then make them out of that.
Yeah, Abby will be excited to see her fabric.
Nicely done,
So
Ann.
anyway, turn around. Do you guys agree that this would look better with the green bar going down the middle?
I don't have strong feelings on that like you do. I feel like it's
Okay.
interesting having it two different ways.
Yeah. Okay.
It's very cozy. I just have to point that out.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm being enveloped by a blanket, which I guess I am.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm ready to put one on right now. And
I almost think of like the almost like a wool lining inside of it would have been interesting.
Yeah.
The sheep. Trying to think, it's kind of, it's almost not.
Oh yeah, like a fleece lining would be great. It would make it feel much more outdoors.
Right, or you could almost use flannel. I did end up putting silk in the sleeve because I didn't want it. I like that better than a muslin that you get stuck on. How does the silk feel?
And in case you're not super tech savvy, Ellen's putting all kinds of compliments to you in the chat window. So.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
There we
just
go.
thought I'd point that out that was happening. Ellen, you should chime in on the conversation too.
So sweet.
Cute.
Okay.
Cool.
Do we have more input for Anne?
I think that central area of the back, when you ask that, it reminds me of when people do the dress where it kind of has the cutout on the sides. And so it draws the eye central and it's just like a slimming, nice look on someone. It's just, I don't know. I really love that look personally. And the way that it comes to a V up top, it just, I don't know. It draws my eye to the line of the body, which is nice.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that, but yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've had this project in my head for 20 years. I'm glad I finally did it.
Well, nicely done.
Thanks.
I'm really excited about this project, though. It just screamed my name when Stacy asked me. So I don't know if you can see it, but I have this.
Can you turn the computer a little?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, let's do that. You can. I have a trench coat here. It's what looks like to be from the 70s. It's a color that is not part of my color palette, and so it doesn't speak to me. It was given to me by a client 4 years ago, maybe, and it's just been I brought it to vintage markets to try to sell it. It's just been sitting on my rack here forever, and I feel like I need to give it a new life. I give it a new beginning, so to speak, which is a good way to start off this year. And I'm going to keep it in the same vein because I know there's a lot of vintage purists out there who do not believe in, which I am one of those people 99.9% of the time, where I do not believe in reconstructing good vintage. Like, I feel like that has its own place. That's a big trend right now that people are embroidering vintage, like silk, and that's cool. And like, I respect that. And it's like kind of an empty canvas, but I don't believe in, this is just me personally, in ripping up beautiful vintage to make new clothing. Yes, this is a beautiful garment. It does not have a label in it, so I feel a little nicer doing this, but I'm gonna just turn it into, my goal is to turn it into a cropped jacket with a hood. So it will still have the bare bones, and it'll still be a jacket. It's just going to be reinvented for the new year. And here's my sketch. I'm not as much of an artist as Lauren Bacall here. Mine are a little more technical try-ins here. I try to be an artist, but here's my sketch. If you can see, initial sketch. Very, since the challenge, I believe, is to be more of a marketable, sort of resellable garment. I already make a similar jacket like to this. I call it the cat jacket. It's a leather jacket with a hood. The ones that I normally make have a removable hood with snaps. This one will hopefully, if I believe there's enough leather here, will be an attached hood that you can, wear as a hoodie or just around your neck here. Can you see this? And then, so I have big chunky zipper that I plan on dyeing. This is an army green. I don't know if you can see. I'm going to try to dye this fabric black. I believe it's cotton. It should be. And then I have some other zippers that have been lying around my studio for the wrists and the center. And then I'm going to do some little welt pockets. So it's, hopefully somebody will want to wear it. That's
I already want to wear it. I'm sure it's too small for me, but I just think it's gorgeous. I think the hood and cropping it totally modernizes it.
Cropping it is like, that's where it's at right now, because it will look cute with like your girly dress under it. Or it would look, if you're into like wearing the skinny jeans with a crop jacket, that's cool. And then I just did another sketch with the hoodie down. And forgive me, it's not the best. But the cool part about this, and I've done a similar jacket. So this is that the back has, I do a heart because it's kind of my signature thing. It'll be sort of an invisible heart. It's just
you will stitch
in there. Pardon?
You will stitch the heart.
Yes, it's a cutout that gets stitched.
Oh my God, that's hard.
Wow.
And so this is within my comfort zone. But the biggest challenge that I will be having is that I am going to be leather painting it solid white.
Oh my God.
And I did a test on the belt. last night to see if it would, there's a couple processes to painting leather. But I did a test and it looks like it's probably going to take a couple coats. And I believe I'm going to cut out as much, I'm going to get the jacket cut first after I sort of take apart the seams. And then I'll paint what is cut just to save paint.
How
instead
long
of
does it
painting the
take
coat.
how long does it take to dry?
Couple hours, you know, I'll put it under a fan.
So you'll be able to sew it. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be working on, which is why I asked if it can just be camera ready.
Yeah. You don't have to have your lining all done or anything.
Well, that's what I'm gonna try. This is okay. Let's say it wasn't a challenge and I was just making this. I would also use the lining to line my garment. And that's where I'm gonna use my fabric paint to make a pattern, because I'm really into linings that are printed.
Oh, cute.
Like having that's kind of my thing. I do a solid leather or a solid garment, and then I like a pop of, I like the unexpected pop of lining, because it's a fun thing that you don't have to really commit to when you wear, but it's like your own like secret, so to speak, or you could show it off, you know, whatever.
I say get as far as you can. This is about learning, but bring something that looks, you know, where we can see what it's supposed to look like. And you know, the risk is this, the leather painting, which I'm really curious about, because now I want to see if you paint leather that's where the finish on the leather is deteriorating. If you paint it, does it make it look brand new? I'm just curious.
Well, there's a two to 3 part process where you have to use, which, I mean, you have to use an acetone base, which I don't know if this is going into the, like a nail polish remover to take off. That's the finish so that the paint sticks.
So it's like preparing it for, it's like sanding it, sort of, the equivalent.
Yeah. And then you paint it. You might have to paint it twice. I don't know. I would like to use the belt somehow too. I mean, it's beautifully done. This, you can see this, there's like, I can't remember the technical term for this, but it's like top stitching yarn. There's a real word for this technique. I don't know if you guys know it. It's throughout this garment. And I would just like to, it's going to take some, it's going to take a little effort to try to get around all these little nooks and crannies. So yeah, part of me is like, I really want to say that I completely reimagined this garment, which is why I am adding zippers to the wrists versus this does not. So, you know, I think there'll be enough of my own creativity in there. I hope.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm excited about it. I think you have a solid plan. I mean, you're one of the more experienced designers here, so.
I had this trench coat for like 4 years. A client gave me. Can you see it?
Yeah.
No. Pop up. I know it's a beautiful piece. I've had it for 4 years or so, and honestly, the color didn't speak to me. It didn't fit me. I would have dyed it. It just, and I tried to sell it at local vintage shops. There's the back, and I just was like, you know what? It's time to give it a new lease on life. I didn't want to change it into anything other than another kind of jacket that I would rather wear or see being worn. And I started cutting out, this is kind of my signature heart thing, my signature heart motif. I've done a few pieces with this heart on the back of the garment, whether it be, if you look at my Instagram, I did another leather jacket repurposing, which I thought about sharing initially, but maybe I'll share later in lieu of doing another project. But I ripped up an old dress that somebody else gave me that was not my particular style from a modern company who shall remain nameless. And I turned it into a leather jacket, and I put the heart on the back there. You can look it up on my Instagram, and I'm in the process of getting professional photos of it. But so that I started cutting up the jacket, and let's see what else pops up here. I had to pound all the seams. I basically put together 2 of my patterns. I sort of Frankensteined 2 of my patterns that I already have in my repertoire to create a new jacket. I already create a ready-to-wear version of this jacket. It's called the cat jacket, and I call it that because it zips up kind of like as a cat suit. And I also used a different pattern that I have that's more, it's called the cat coat. I like cats, but I don't own one, so I don't, but, or I don't have one. But this is sort of my process of what I did. I had to use nail polish remover to get the finishing off the leather. Let's see. And then I started, okay, so I wanted to reuse the lining as well. I'm leading up to showing you my project. You can edit this, right, if it's in the wrong order.
No, it's great. I'm not editing this.
Okay.
This is gold.
Okay. There's the paint again. You have to use a special leather paint, which I've learned the hard way. There it is. They make every color under the sun, and then of course you can get creative with that. Oh, and then here's my, so I had to make a mock-up of what, from my 2 Frankenstein patterns. I wanted to keep it a leather jacket, obviously, but crop it, make it more, I don't know, just more, it just give it a different life. Trenches are in too. I mean, everything's in right now, right? But that's the history of what I did in the last 2 days. And I'm just going to get back to the screen here. I think that's all my photos that I really. So let me just get to the big screen here, and then I will show you guys what I did and show you the problems I had, and maybe somebody else has some feedback. Forgive me, I'm just trying to see the full screen here.
I'm going to try undoing your screen share. You are now. Few options.
Oh, maybe that'll pop. Just so I can see my screen and what I'm showing you easier. You can kind of see.
Exit full screen. Oh, I can't figure out how to get you out of there. You're going to have to do it.
I'm just going to trust that you guys can see. Let me know.
No, we need you to get out of it, because otherwise everybody will be small.
Oh, wait, here. Stop share. There.
Thank you. There you go.
Okay.
That's what we needed. Okay.
Now I present to you what I worked on in the last couple of days.
Excellent.
This is Olga, who, if you follow my Instagram, you might know her. She's fake. But, okay, now I'm going to have to show you. So here's the jacket. Now, can you guys see? Do I need to shine some light on her?
Yeah, I mean, she looks a little like the white doesn't look like a true white.
Well, that was part of my.
Your learning?
My learning was that
she looks silvery.
She's a little more pearlized pink, which
interesting.
I was like,
cool.
Okay, because the color is, oh, go ahead. Oh, so it turned out I did probably close to 3 coats where I was just like, okay, it's never gonna be exactly like I envisioned, which is part of the process. But let me move Olga here. Can you see her?
Yeah.
So what I really love about this is that the pinstripes from the original garment are in there. So I still pay homage to the original garment. You can see the cuffs. I strategically placed, there was already a design on the original leather jacket, and then I put them in the cuffs. So it almost looks like a faux cuff. I don't know if you can see. I probably should have taken some more picture. I can probably pull up a picture.
I really like the color. That looks really awesome. I would totally rock that. And so would my daughter.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's cropped. I originally thought I was going to do way more cropped, but it just didn't happen that way. My issue was because this leather, I mean, with vintage leather, I didn't, and probably also because of time, I didn't do the understructure properly. I should have interfaced this and maybe repattern the heart a little bit more. But I didn't. But it still reads. I don't know if you can see the heart.
Yeah, we can.
It's supposed to be somewhat invisible. I didn't want it to be like, boom, because I wanted this. I understand we were thinking about maybe selling this garment. Is that, or either fashion show or selling it? And I just wanted it to be somewhat more marketable.
Are there studs on the hood trim?
Yeah, and I'm going to get to that.
Oh.
There's the, I did the little zippers back here, which is, I always do. And then I put, come on, Olga. She's cranky today. It's been a long week. Okay.
Can I ask another question about the heart? How did you inset that? Did you just top stitch it on, or did you seam it in?
So with the heart, I have a pattern that so I've already had this pattern lying around because I've made this with this heart. I cut out each one. I pinned it. I hand stitched it to make sure that it would not shift, pasting it in. And then I trimmed around so that it would lay flat, and then I top stitched it. So it was basically 3 different.
Yeah.
How do you get seam allowance for it when it's the same size as what you cut it out as, or are they different sizes, I guess?
They're different sizes.
Okay.
You have to add seam allowance on each one. Like
Okay.
you can
Yeah,
cut
that makes sense to me. And is it piped or is it just top stitched that makes it show?
Top stitched.
Wow.
But I'm not 100% pleased with how it poofs. Maybe some people would like that. Poofy jackets are in. So I mean, some people like the poof. Poofy's not my total brand, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe if it was on a bigger girl, because Olga is like a size 0, which shouldn't even be allowed, but maybe if it was on a little bit, more realistic human. It doesn't fit me, otherwise, trust me, I'd be modeling it. Yeah, I added little belt pockets here too, but the thing that I'm really excited about is that because I love hoodie, I make hats as well, and I love living here in the Northwest, being able to wear clothing. It's like just my thing. I love clothes, and this is a great climate for that. And I because I make hoodies or leather hoodies, I wanted to make a leather hoodie jacket. And there's the hoodie. Wow. Now, when it's not on a human, it looks very much like E.T. And I can show you that photo. It was like,
can she come down, or can you point the screen up a little bit more?
I'm sorry. Let me lift this up. Bear with me. I can make clothing, but when it comes to Zoom, it's a challenge. Is that a little better?
A little bit.
A little bit. So here's why don't I just hold the computer up? Is that going to screw everything up?
Oh, that's great.
Oh, yeah.
So there's the hood. Here, I can just. So I wanted to add a hoodie because of where we live. Can you see?
As long as you're talking.
Yes. And she's got messy hair. But I also added something new for me. And since it's COVID and all that, I wanted to make her, you can zip this up past your face.
Oh, cool.
At the grocery store or in a hallway at a building. It's a little snug, which is good. I like clothing, leather that's tight. Well, it's there. It'll stretch over time. Oops. So this zips up to about there. Actually, I designed it to go above the eyes, but I don't think it would. I'll have to try it on a real human. But now it goes up over your mouth. So I don't know if you've been in public where people have forgotten to wear their mask and they're like this. Oh my God. This way, you can just zip it up over your mouth in case you forget your mask. And I make masks, but not as much anymore because I don't want to. The only other people making masks right now.
Yeah, I think we all got tired of making masks after, I don't know, 100 or so. It's just like, oh, geez.
Yeah, I still haven't. I wrote every single one down and every order I got, and I haven't done the math yet. I'm going to give it a year and then do the count. But anyway, so that's my garment. I wanted to paint the lining. I didn't get a chance to paint the inside. This is the original lining from the coat, but I did paint the hoodie. And I started doing a polka dot because I love polka dots. I'm wearing them today. But it just wasn't quite right. So I just decided to paint the whole inside red over the black. And what's really cool, I know we were talking about fabric painting during the last meeting. When I painted this lining, it almost feels like outerwear fabric now.
Oh.
And that was totally unexpected. And I thought it was perfect for the hoodie. Because you may not want to always have the hoodie on, but then it's kind of, it feels like water. You can almost hear it. It feels like Gore-Tex or something. So yeah.
Is it, the paint is not going to react badly in water though, like if it's raining out?
That's a good question. I should read the, I don't know. I guess that's part of the experiment.
Totally.
I can't read the fine, but I don't know if you can see her, but yeah, so there she is. And I added a big chunky zipper that I had lying around. I had to paint the zipper tape as well. It didn't quite get as dark as I wanted. I had to actually paint one of these zippers too that I had lying around on the wrists. Some of the lining, since it's vintage, was ripping, and I'm going to repair that because I do that on the side for other people. I know how to do that. But yeah, so there's the 2021 cat jacket.
Woohoo!
Nice.
Any other? Oh, I added gussets because the arms are really skinny. There's gussets under the arms here. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. There's some stuff. I mean, if I had more time, of course, I would have done a lot more to it. But I like the 2 days. It just kind of like get to it.
Talk about what you put. What's the waistband? Is it a knit or is it a band of leather?
Oh yeah, so it's another piece of leather. Can you see it from the garment? My original sketch had that. I think it gives a nice, I don't know if you can see it, has a nice finish to it. Just feels more structured. I didn't have time. I didn't paint. You can see the inside. I faced it.
Yeah.
And it's the original color, which I was fine with. I'm like, nobody's really, I'll probably paint that later, but yeah. So hopefully it fits somebody. That's the problem, is that like this type of project, I tend to do smaller versions of because it, one, takes so much more time to do a different size, one that would fit me, or even larger, and it uses so much more fabric, or in this case, leather.
Yeah. I have a question. How would you price that? Or how would you figure out, I mean, it's so much work, right? You know, how would you?
Yeah. I've been pricing my leather jackets. Well, how would I mean, it obviously took a couple days.
Right.
The materials were more or less free. So, I mean, you know, ultimately I would love, yeah, sure, I'd love to charge $1,000 for it. I don't think, because where I'm at in my business, I don't think people are gonna spend that much unless they really want to support an artist. If it was just in a shop, like ready to wear, I maybe 500 starting, 500 to 600, just realistically.
What about on a runway?
Are you asking me or are you asking Sherry?
Yeah, I was sort of asking Sherry, but I'm also feel free to jump in, David, at any point.
Well, I think one of the things that I would make a quick note of, and you know, I talk with a lot of designers in regards to pricing is the hardest thing to do. Is, you know, it's putting your heart and soul into something and then all of a sudden go, here's a price tag for it. And what I have a tendency to notice is they go one of two directions. Either, well, I don't know if I'm that good, therefore I lower the price, and then it's super cheap. And they're like, okay, now you're paying yourself $10 an hour for the time and energy that you put into it. I mean, there's got to be a formula that you work with in that regards to pricing everything. And you know, that starts with, okay, what is the materials? How much did you spend on it? And there is a cost, even though you had it laying around, there's still a cost associated with that material. You know, then it also has got to go on, okay, your skills took time and energy to do that. So are you charging yourself $10 an hour? Or are you charging yourself $50 an hour? Are you charging yourself $100 an hour? You know, and then how many hours did you spend into making it? I mean, just, you know, in some situations, yes, we may end up pricing ourselves out because it's custom, but then again, it's a one of a kind piece that nobody's ever going to be able to duplicate. You're not going to walk into a restaurant and go, oh, she's wearing the same jacket as I am. Where'd you get that? Like,
Yeah.
it's, you know, I think from that side of things, you've got a lot of things going on that. And, you know, one of the things that I would want to pick your brain on is what is your target audience? You know, it's clearly not geared towards the 70-year-old that wants a new leather jacket. It's I feel like you've got an age range for it.
Yeah, I would say 30 to 55, but then there's rocking 70-year-olds, you know, that are, I don't know. I mean,
I'm not even dissuading you in that regard. But when I look at this, I'm going, this is a 20s to 30s jacket. Like, this is somebody that the color alone, it does look very pearl-ish. Pearl has a lot of movement in it. You have a little bit of silver tones. You have some white tones. You know, the pattern on the front is the fact that you kept that, I think looks really nice. But I look at it and I'm going, man, I think you're looking at, like you said, somebody that is going to fit a size 0 or 2. But I look at this as very trendy. I see this, you know, you've got the heart in the back, you know, the way that you've got the hoodie zipped. I mean, it screams to me somebody like, you know, I'd say 20 to 24, even, you know, that range of like, I could totally see that for a photo shoot and working rather nicely.
Oh, I see it. Totally like a rock band person on stage and for the album cover.
Thank you. That's my exact target. That's my dream. So
yeah, it's really cool.
Thank you.
And it's so to me, it's so impressive that you could do so much in such a short period of time. It really is just mind-blowing to me.
Well, that's why I gave my shout out to Mary Ellen, because without her, like, she taught me like how to make a leather jacket proper back in the day, back when I was fresh out of design school. And we learned jackets though. I mean, this isn't like the first one I made. So that
but it's so cool. So
I think that real quickly, the same thing I'd say to Elena is it sounds like there's still some things that you need to finish on that. You know, again, I'd love to see what the final project is. I would highly encourage you not to let okay, I've got this done, and then not actually finish the final product, because I think even like you said, finish up the inside, figure out how exactly you wanted to get it done, because I think it could be very marketable as something that you're selling here soon.
Is that the kind of thing that Amy would put into sassafras, or?
I don't know how much she does on.
Oh, I was thinking
pieces.
Sherry might know, because she's her studio's in the shop area there.
Elena's piece?
No, yours.
Oh, yours.
Oh, mine? Oh yeah, she would put my stuff. I mean,
that might be in the window, right?
Yeah. I mean, and yes, like that's one nice thing about Amy at Sassafras is that she is open to like one of a kind pieces. It doesn't, and things like that. That would have to be something I'd have to talk to her. But yeah, probably. I mean, because I have the luxury of being downstairs at Sassafras. I mean, back in the day before COVID, we could bring things up and be like, look at what we have, and this is something new, hot off the machine. And we would figure out the price. And so
That's a great resource you have there. More input for Sherry?
I was just gonna say that I was watching a local indie film that started up last night. That's punk music groups that we know, and this would fit like right into the aesthetic of those groups. I do a lot of photography for like punk bands and stuff too, and so I could see them really enjoying something like this. So
yeah, thank you. That's I mean I'm a punk at heart. I mean, what's the film that you were watching?
It was Bazooka.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, and Eva Walker from KXP is in it. Danny Denial from. Oh gosh, sorry, my brain's gonna skip, but it's good.
I have not seen it yet, but I am watching it tonight.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun.
Okay. Okay.
2 Z's. Look it up on YouTube. It's on there.
I will.
Yeah. So
Other thoughts for Sherry here?
Concept of the zipper, especially with the zip up for a photo shoot. I don't know about, in terms of day to day, but I love that concept that it would look so great in a photo shoot with it zipped up like that.
Hopefully thank you. Hopefully it does fit around the real human space.
I'd love to shoot that.
My challenge. Yeah. Stacey and I have shot together before, so.
When my knees are working, man.
Yeah, so thank you.
I was just gonna say that I know you guys were talking about like the 30s and 40s and stuff, but my 14-year-old daughter would totally wear that, and she is a size 0 around the waist, and she would totally rock that with her skinny jeans. The ones that like there's more rips than jean.
Yeah.
I think that the price point might be out of her range, though.
Oh, it totally would be, but I would buy it for myself, and then she'd steal it out of my closet.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I it's funny because you ask about sassafras, and I did do a leather jacket probably 5 years ago that ended up being bought by a mother for her daughter's first leather jacket. She was probably 12. So the mother had the money, bought it, and it was her first leather jacket, and I just about
yeah.
But yeah, the reason why I said 30 to 55 is because the cost, it's not Forever 21 prices. But yeah. But hey,
not Forever 21 quality either. That stuff falls apart.
True.
So we have a couple minutes left before Zoom cuts us off. So if we have more comments for Sherry, let's keep going. Otherwise, I'll take a break and a bathroom break. But we haven't heard from Mercedes very much, and we haven't heard from Sachi at all on this one. Yeah.
You want?
Well, if you have comments, if you guys don't, it's okay.
I mean, I feel like she is such an experienced sewer. Like I don't know, I am not that of an experiencer, even though I made jackets in my school days and stuff, but I always get kind of scared when it comes to jacket because it has got so much layers to do. But your jacket is something very like rock and roll kind of thing. And I think there is no age, like even my daughter or even a 70-year-old who loves to be a funky or color player can put on this jacket. And yeah, I love the zippers that are like contrasting the color tone.
Yep.
So yeah, so I love it. It's a very fresh look. And
I think one of the things that I'd want to point out is, I mean, for everybody else, Sherry's even said a couple times like, oh, I was stuck with this part, and oh, this didn't go as well as I had hoped. Everybody would agree the jacket looks amazing. Mm-hmm. But the process that you go through as you're going down the road, you don't know what complications you're going to have because you are using new techniques and trying to use something that's already been done, deconstruct it and then reconstruct it. I mean, you just know that you got to give yourself some grace as far as doing this stuff because it may not be exactly like you want. We all agree it turns out great, but I'm sure there's times that Sherry was going, okay, this is ridiculous, this is frustrating, like, but yet the final product is what she has fought for, and it's turned out great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and for 2 days, for a 2-day challenge, it was like, I can't even imagine doing that in 2 days.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, the inside, because I wanted to keep it completely repurposed. Trust me, I thought about using new lining. I mean, it's ripping.
You know what?
You'll see that.
The lining can be kind of like the you know, the old magazines, you know, cartoonish stuff in. That would look wonderful inside when you open it up, and it has the, you know, Archie or whatever type of you know, print in it. That would love, people will love that. And that surprise thingy, you know.
Okay. Okay, guys, we're going to take a 5-minute break on this changeover. So I'll see you all in about 5 minutes. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Great.